Together, let's build a more resilient Bahamas.
This message brought to you by the Bahamas Red Cross Society in conjunction with the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas.
You always see man, the one and only, and I want you all to tune into Entertainment Fridays on Access Now every Friday at 7:30 p.m. Who knows? Your favorite Bahamian artist might end up showing their face. But you gotta watch to find out.
At the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas, I'm Clint Watson, and this is ZNS.
This is the Bahamas Tonight. The Northern Edition has a look at stories making. Does election season deepen divisions among Bahamians? We hear from the Grand Bahama Chamber President. The Minister of Works giving an update on roadworks in the Northern Bahamas. And an activist calls for stronger community support following Grand Bahama's first murder of the year.
The Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition starts now.
Well, as the Bahamas moves closer to a general election, questions are being raised about the impact of politics on national unity. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Ramiko Knowles. Thanks so much for tuning in. We asked the Grand Bahama Chamber President Dylan Knowles whether election season deepens divisions beyond party lines and into everyday life. He shares his thoughts in tonight's top story.
I don't do well where I have to pledge an allegiance to a group rather than to a principle. And that is something that we have lost in over the years.
In the lead up to every general election, political tensions in the Bahamas often run high, a period many refer to as silly season. What begins as healthy democratic debate can quickly deepen divisions, separating families, co-workers, and even congregations along party lines. The national colors, gold, black, and aquamarine, symbols of unity and shared identity, are overshadowed by political colors. Grand Bahama Chamber President Dylan Knowles says this is an unfortunate pattern he has observed repeatedly during election cycles.
We are now truly tribal in nature, and we're truly focused on the wrong things.
The atmosphere can turn hostile, with discourse growing increasingly personal and, at times, aggressive. However, the Chamber President maintains that political differences should never come at the expense of respect, unity, or national stability.
So if you're passionate about your party or passionate about your ideology to the detriment of others, then I don't see that as very constructive. My personal belief is that we should be passionate about the Bahamas.
But how did the Bahamas reach such a state? Knowles believes that over time, elections have undermined meritocracy, leaving opportunities determined by connections rather than earned merit. Even so, he insists that hope remains.
That will only get resolved, in my opinion, when the electorate matures a little further into understanding that there isn't a scarcity of resources in the world. And so we don't have to fight over who is going to get it and who is not going to get it. We need to collaborate together to figure out how to get more for everybody.
Well, over the weekend, residents experienced unusual weather conditions in the midst of a cold front, which weather officials say may remain the same through the rest of the coming week. Our Matthew Martinborough has more in this report.
Following a weekend where the northern Bahamas uncharacteristically experienced heavy wind gusts and shivering cold temperatures, Senior Met Officer Trinard Tyne says to expect more of the same weather conditions heading into the rest of the week.
Conditions will probably hold going into Wednesday night maybe. Thursday you may get a slight warm, and when I say slight, I'm talking we probably go up to like near to 70. We'll probably be in the upper 60s. And then we have another front coming down again. Will reinforce the cool temperatures and keep us in the mid to low 60s after that.
However, this past weekend's conditions bothered some residents while others were unfazed.
It's the first time I experienced it being this cold since I guess born. It been cold for a little while, and I just been putting on all my jacket. I got two on, so I ain't taking this for granted.
I'd wake up in the morning, I had to ask myself if I had Freeport or Alaska, because boy, it was really cold outside. Plus it was windy, the winds wasn't joking around.
The weather's, I like it. I ain't gonna lie, it's be refreshing. You ain't gotta sweat, you know, your makeup stay in place, all that good stuff. So I like the weather. The weather's, I like it. I ain't gonna lie, it's be refreshing. You ain't gotta sweat, you know, your makeup stay in place, all that good stuff. So I like the weather.
I work in the kitchen, so it isn't that bad to just go in there and, you know, go to work.
Speaking to some local residents about the current weather, they say preparation is going to be key to withstanding these particularly unusual frosty conditions.
Just put your hoodies on, put your gloves on, put your sweaters on, your sweatpants, bathe, and just keep it pushing. You can get through it.
Implementing some of those COVID rules might be helpful because a lot of people doing a lot of sneezing, and we ain't keeping that in mind, like that random sneeze you get because of that breeze come and lick you. Probably a little bit of distancing yourself.
The nighttime, you just gotta, you know, take early baths and warm up before the morning comes. Because, you know, people, you know, don't like bathe and things, so you gotta get yourself prepared. Prepare for it. Just prepare for it. Just another type of weather element. Just like any other hurricane or any other rainstorm, just prepare for it.
Once you go home, make sure you have your quilts, have your blankets, have everything ready so you can at least try to stay comfy during the night because, yeah, it is really cold.
For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Matthew Martinborough.
Switching gears now, for years, drivers across the northern Bahamas have dealt with potholes, patched stretches, and roads that have struggled to keep up with daily use. Minister of Works and Family Island Affairs, the Honorable Clay Sweeting, says a series of projects across the northern Bahamas is moving forward. Sherelle Dames has more in this report.
Years of wear and short-term repairs have left many roads across the northern Bahamas in need of attention. According to Minister of Works and Family Island Affairs, Honorable Clay Sweeting, a multi-million-dollar road rehabilitation effort has been underway across several family islands, with work completed in South Bimini and assessments already done in areas of Grand Bahama. He says some communities are now beginning to see progress.
So we have a massive road work improvement project across Family Islands. The Berry Islands is almost complete. We've also paved South Bimini, which is also complete as well. We have assessed areas in Grand Bahama, West Grand Bahama, as well as an area in Pine Ridge, where we hope that both of those we can get moving fairly quickly.
In Abaco, road conditions have also been a major concern. The minister says some neighborhoods are already seeing completed work, while those areas next in line will include combined road repairs with water infrastructure.
We've did a lot of road works in Abaco as well. We've paved Central Pines as well as Pelican Shores in Abaco. South and Cherokee should start shortly, and we've also signed a contract for Sweetings Village, which would include water mains as well as road work there in Abaco.
The Minister of Work says several contractors are now working simultaneously to complete the road works as government tries to keep projects moving across the country without stalling progress in any one area.
Numerous contractors, so it's at least 4 to 5 contractors through the different projects. So across the whole country, we have almost if not all, road contractors doing paving exercises throughout the country.
For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Sherelle Dames.
Thanks, Sherelle. Well, as public hospitals continue to feel the strain of a regional nursing shortage, the government is re-engaging retired nurses as part of a broader effort to stabilize the healthcare workforce. Raven Davis spoke with the Health and Wellness Minister and has more details in this report.
More than 40 retired nurses are being brought back into the healthcare system as an ongoing nursing shortage across the region continues to place strain on public hospitals. Health and Wellness Minister, the Honorable Dr. Michael Darville, says while nurses sometimes leave the system, the ministry is taking a multi-pronged approach to ensure the healthcare workforce remains stable.
And as a matter of fact, we have another batch of nurses that we are about to recruit from abroad. But this is what's really interesting. We took a paper to cabinet to hire retired nurses, and I got approval to hire some 47 retired nurses throughout the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, some on the Family Islands, and bring them back into the system to function and to continue to contribute.
Now, Dr. Darville says Cabinet has approved the re-engagement of those retired nurses, noting that the effort is being carried out alongside aggressive local training initiatives at both the university level and other institutions.
Training 50 trained clinical nurses here in Grand Bahama at Tarif. We're also doing it with Baptist Community College, and we're looking to work into other MOUs with other colleges to ensure that our workforce is maintained.
The health minister also pointed to the Public Hospitals Authority Academy as another key contributor in filling staffing gaps.
The PHA Academy just graduated over 40 individuals, trained clinical nurses, pharmacy techs, EMT specialists.
He says building a sustainable healthcare workforce will depend on training Bahamians locally while supplementing staffing needs through international partnerships. He adds that the government has signed memorandums of understanding with several African countries to support those recruitment efforts. For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Raven Davis.
Thanks, Raven. Well, following Grand Bahama's first murder for the year, community activist Dudley Sade says the deadly shooting is evidence of a wider gun problem across the country and is urging communities to step in before more lives are lost. Shlia Roll reports.
Community activist Dudley Sade is speaking out following Grand Bahama's first murder for the year, using the latest act of violence as a call for national reflection and change. Sade says the fatal shooting late Saturday night is not an isolated incident, but a part of what he describes as a growing gun problem throughout the Bahamas. He believes the continued presence of illegal firearms in communities is placing young people at risk and fueling deadly violence. The comments come as police investigate the shooting death of a 37-year-old man who was gunned down shortly after 10 p.m. on Saturday, January 31st, 2026.
I think the first thing young men been taught if someone had hurt them, they got hurt them back. And I think that's the biggest problem we need to solve here. I think in the country.
Sade argues that, beyond law enforcement, the solution must include a return to strong community values.
This generation don't go to church. I think what we need to do is the government, the church, we need a 10-year plan, and that then sure we change the mindset of this new generation.
In addition, the activist is urging parents to become more involved in their children's lives. He also stressed the need for closer collaboration between churches, schools, community leaders, and police to address the root cause of violence.
I think we need to do more programs. The government need to invest more in organizations to continue to see how we could curve this mindset.
The victim is unofficially identified as D'Angelo Wilson, age 37. Meanwhile, police say the circumstances surrounding the shooting remain unclear and investigations are ongoing. Authorities are appealing to members of the public who may have seen or heard anything suspicious in the area to come forward. For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Shalia Roll.
In news from the courts, 2 women accused of multiple financial crimes were arraigned in magistrates' court earlier this week and have since been granted bail. On Monday, February 2nd, defendants Margaret Mathieux, also known as Caroline Smith, and Claudette Dormius Petit appeared before Magistrate Yule Johnson in Court Number 1, where they were formally arraigned on a series of charges. Both women are jointly charged with 15 counts of fraud by false pretenses, 15 counts of money laundering, and 15 counts of acquisition of the proceeds of crime. Now, during the proceedings, the defendants elected to have their matter tried summarily and later entered not guilty pleas to all charges. Following submissions, Magistrate Johnson granted bail to both defendants in the amount of $20,000 secured by 1 or 2 land sureties. As part of their bail conditions, Mathieux and Dormius Petit are required to report to the Criminal Investigations or Prosecution Service every Monday on or before 6 p.m. and to surrender all travel documents to the magistrate's court. The case has been adjourned to Monday, June 8, 2026, when the matter is expected to proceed to trial.
And still to come.
A pap smear awareness campaign set to provide 300 screenings. That story, sports, and more when we come back.
Imagine a world where every brand knows your name and every store awaits your arrival. Elite shopping, travel where luxury is a lifestyle and every journey feels like home. Dine where every flavor is just for you, every table reserved, and every moment a taste of perfection. Make every big moment even bigger. Experience banking where wealth isn't just managed, it's maximized. Step into a world without limits. Commonwealth Bank, leader in personal banking services.
Come on down and see what Dolly Madison has in store for you. Renovate and rejuvenate at Dolly Madison.
Dolly Madison. It's your
At Save More Drugs, we got you. We got what you want. We got what you need. We got what you came for. The quality you expect. The prices you need and deserve. Save more at Save More Drugs.
Ready to take your career to the next level? Edinburgh Napier University, Scotland's #1 modern university, is coming to the Bahamas. Join them for a free information session on Monday, February 10th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. at the British Colonial Hotel in Nassau. Learn about internationally recognized MBA, MSc, BSc, and business programs that are 100% online, flexible, and relevant to today's workforce. Space is limited, so register now at seidegrees.com.
Welcome to Cornet Bahamas, where love begins at the door. For the entire month of February, you can enjoy 25% off of our doors, flooring, and tiles. Because our love truly goes beyond the door. Whether you're building, renovating, or simply upgrading your space, we're here to guide you every step of the way. On behalf of Cornet Bahamas, I can't wait to help you find the perfect fit.
Your #1 team in the North. Only the sun covers the Bahamas better.
Welcome back. Cervical cancer, one of the most preventable forms of the disease, was the focus of the Cancer Society's Don't Fear the Smear campaign. The drive-through testing initiative took place on the grounds of Pierce Plaza, aiming to encourage early detection and prevention. Yolanda Thompson-Everest has the details in this report.
The grounds of Pierce Plaza became a hub of awareness and prevention as the Cancer Society's Don't Fear the Smear campaign encouraged women to take charge of their health. Residents from all over the island filled the parking lot, with a few more waiting inside for their turn to be tested. The drive-through effort was supported by the wife of the Prime Minister, Anne-Marie Davis, Minister for Grand Bahama, the Honorable Ginger Moxie, along with the Grand Bahama Power Company and the University of Miami. Leading the effort, Dr. Sayeda Bowe.
We're seeing, unfortunately, a rise in cervical cancer deaths and the detection of cervical cancer. And as I said, we want to bring awareness. We want women to know, January Cervical Cancer Awareness Month. We want you to know, come out, get tested.
The wife of the Prime Minister and Minister for Grand Bahama reminding women that early detection is key.
It's a viral infection. It's a virus, and once we can cure that virus, we can cure cervical cancer.
If we take advantage of all of the opportunities that are available to us, then we will be able to improve our conditions.
The Grand Bahama Power Company and the University of Miami were happy to support the initiative, standing alongside organizers in the belief that cervical cancer can be overcome.
Any initiative like this, we are happy to support to make sure that the community is able to get what they need, even if they can't afford it.
It's important that we take control of our health, of our lives, and to participate in our health. And this opportunity, which is free, should be taken advantage of.
Cancer survivor Stacey Sands expressing that life can be saved, sharing that she herself beat the odds.
He was diagnosed in last March. When they would have found out, I would have been stage 3. And so had I had taken any longer time, I wouldn't have been standing here today.
For the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, I'm Jolanda Thompson, Everest.
Well, members of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force Northern Command gathering in worship other uniformed branches for a special Thanksgiving service at the Grand Bahama Family Worship Center. Recently, the service brought together officers and members of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, along with representatives from the Royal Bahamas Police Force, Bahamas Customs and Immigration. In a moment of prayer, reflection and unity, Senator Kirkland Russell also in attendance, along with Deputy Commander of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, who delivered remarks.
Very special day, not just in the life of the Defense Force, but in the life of all of these services. Growing up, I used to hear a lot the saying that the family that prays together stays together. This type of initiative is not something that's very common, but it's something that is very vital in the life of all of our organizations. We may not.
Prayers were also lifted for members of the uniformed branches.
It is communication. It is dialogue. Not a monologue, it's a dialogue. You talk to God. He listens. He responds.
Place upon this altar of prayer today, Father, a special petition and supplication, Father, for our Royal Bahamas Defense Force leadership.
On behalf of the youth of our nation, and Father, we thank you that your will is being done in their life.
God, we present the financial and economy before you, God. We decree and declare that there will be increases.
This is a defense force, but I remind, oh God, everyone in this room today, and those that would hear, that God is our defense. And if we
Well, for more than a century, St. Stephen's Anglican Church says its true impact is measured not in years, but in the lives it has touched.
It is an historic place, and this is an historic occasion, 175 years. God has worked through the Anglican Church in these islands for more than 300 years. That's just an historic fact. And we have sought to continue not just to worship our mighty God in church buildings, but to worship God through the uplifting and the improving of humans and their circumstances all the way along. Education, opportunity, upliftment, all to the honor and the glory of God.
St. Stephen's story is deeply rooted in a defining period of Bahamian history. Established in the years following emancipation, the church emerged as a place of hope, healing, and new beginnings for all growing community. The rector of St. Stephen's says the anniversary is not only a moment of remembrance, but a time of renewal and forward focus for the parish.
Right after slavery, which would have been the emancipation of slavery, this church would have been started 1851. So it has a rich history in terms of where some of those persons who now became free found it a place of worship, found it a beacon of restoration and freedom. And so we are so happy that this year we're celebrating 175 years. The community is poised, the parish hall is being renovated, and we're doing some work to the church in terms of going into outreach, going to evangelism, and reaching persons who are not coming to church so that we can get it on fire again.
We salute our Facebook friend of the day, Samantha Colton. Thank you so much for your support, and we hope that you enjoyed your day. And that's a look at stories making news. Shane, back again. What's happening in sports?
So we got a Baytime boxing showcase coming up later this month. Plus, we got another collegiate athlete doing some big things in junior college.
All right, you boxing next?
Aye. Stand by.
That's coming your way next. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break.
Do you want to find relief from common health concerns such as headaches, back pain, chronic inflammation, and more? How about improved sleep, boost energy, and improve overall well-being? Check out RA Balance Bahamas and get your body into balance with biomagnetic therapy. For all our social links, contacts, or to request an appointment, visit rabalancebahamas.com.
Save
More Drug. We got you. From cosmetics to prosthetics, what you need for your family, the brands you're looking for, the quality you expect, the prices you need and deserve. Feel the love. Save more at Save More Drugs.
Hello. What time is the flight?
No one asked us to go. Hello? Into the storm. Into the chaos. To witness devastation. No one asked us to go.
Are you ready?
Because it's the story that drives us forward. That brings truth to light. That connects us all. This is why we go. Breaking news out of Grand Bahama, our Raven Davis has been covering this story all day and joins us live now with the latest. Raven, what can you tell us?
Yes, Rumiko, I had a chance to speak to many of the residents, and many of them are concerned about...
Welcome to the ZNS Total Sports Cave. I'm Shane Stubbs. All Out Boxing returns with its third National Pride Showcase and Awards Banquet, February 20th to the 21st. Homegrown fighters will face off against Caribbean rivals on the 20th at the Lodge Hall on Cole Road. While the event honors legends like Tank Williams and Floyd Seymour, Coach Jermaine Gibson says it sharpens his fighters for major events ahead, including possible Olympic qualifiers.
Right now we have Grenada that's already done confirmed that they'll be in attendance. Jamaica's already confirmed they'll be in attendance. Also, 2 United States team will be in attendance. So this is going to be one of the biggest, best show that we had so far. And so the kids are ready. They've been training hard. We're preparing for the Olympic qualifications that's coming up this year. And so the more competition we get, the better our kids are shopping. Okay, we've been to St. Martin and many other Caribbean countries already. So we got about 13 guys that are really, really sharp. And so it's anyone's game right now.
The award ceremony will feature a list of honorees, including the Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, the Honorable Mario Boleg.
Come and cheer on our Bahamian boxers. We are the best in the Caribbean.
Now, the National Pride Awards Banquet takes place on the 21st at the Church of Ascension Hall. Now, over in night league basketball action, the New Era Gym Rats did not take it lightly on 242 Elite. Regis Cooper and Latrez McIntosh led the Gym Rats with 24 points each in the 116-50 drumming.
This is one of those games that we know you have to come out and work on what we know how to work on. We know we have a better team with better chemistry. There was probably a lot of younger guys on our team. The goal is to win the championship. I always win the championship. And then we just keep progressing. We want to keep going up the entire time. We don't want to be stagnant. We want to hit rock bottom. We want to keep going up.
Now, in the final game of the evening, the defending champion Dudley Boys coasted to a 84-54 dub over the Amar Rock Legends. The pair of Devontae Jennings and Travis Bain poured in 19 points each. Bain cleaned up the glass nicely with 19 rebounds on the night, while Jennings added 11 of his own. And lastly, Giovanni Bridgewater making history at Colby Community College. Bridgewater captured first place with a time of 47.62 seconds in the men's 400 meters while competing at the Washburn Rust Buster track meet. That mark qualified the sophomore for the National Junior College Athletic Association Nationals and was a new personal best. The performance also puts him second all-time in Colby school history. Well, that's my time, everyone, but weather is next. I'm Shane Stubbs. Catch you on The Rebound.
Tonight's weather forecast is brought to you by Royal Star Assurance.
'Cause it's so beautiful.
Save More Drug. From cosmetics to prosthetics, what you need for your family, the brands you're looking for, the quality you expect, vitamins you need, and prescriptions you came for. Feel the love. Save more at Save More Drugs.
Guess what's back? Bigger, bolder, and trendier than ever. What's Trending returns February 9th with fresh stories, big energy, and all the vibes you love. And yes, we're kicking it off with love. Join us Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m. on the ZNS network, because if it's trending, we're talking about it.
digital wave is sweeping across the Bahamas, and it's reached the shores of North Andros. The Pay Fast, Live Digital campaign launched by the Central Bank of the Bahamas and the Clearing Banks Association is bringing safe, fast, and convenient payment solutions to every island.
What is important about events like this is getting communities to understand that we also see the issues that they're dealing with, and these sort of engagement, I think, help us to have those types of important conversations.
From online banking to mobile wallets, we're empowering communities like North Andros, one town hall at a time. Don't miss your chance to join the movement. Let's live digital together.
Your number one team in the North. Only the sun covers the Bahamas better.
And that is going to do it for us here in the North. I'm Ramiko Knowles.
I'm Shane Stubbs.
Thanks so much for watching. The Bahamas Tonight is coming your way next.
Coming up in the Bahamas tonight, who made the cut? The official opposition set to ratify another slate of candidates with a surprising addition to the roundup. Plus, unresolved staffing concerns spilled to the outside of the office of the Prime Minister. Details of what's at the center of their standoff and the consequences of illegal dumping. The Bahamas Tonight, the National Report starts now. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight. The opposition having a change of heart. That emphatic no, not so, end of story comment the opposition chairman gave the media following widespread speculation that Bahamian Canadian and three-time NBA champion Rick Fox had been tipped to run on the party's ticket in the upcoming general election is now a yes. Our news team confirming as much ahead of tonight's ratification at the party's Mackey Street headquarters. Our Lloyd Allen is on the ground for us. Lloyd?
That's absolutely right, Makusha. It's a busy night here at the Free National Movement's headquarters, where in just a few moments, we expect the announcement of another round of ratifications, this adding to the list of 28 candidates going into the country's next general elections. Now, on the ground, we've spoken off the record with a number of persons, and we've heard a number of names circulating. Just so you know, there are a number of meetings going on ahead of the official ratification. Those meetings including those candidates expected to be announced tonight. Now, among them, we've heard the names such as Rick Fox, Jay Philippe, Jamal Moss, Andre Rollins, as well as Shannon Cartwright, Carlton Bowleg, and Dr. Charlene Reed. That's in Pine Ridge. Now, of course, we expect in just a few moments we'll be speaking with the party's chairman. That's Dwayne Sands, who would have a bit more information to provide in regards to this developing story here. And again, many supporters here tonight who have been adding to this busy night tonight. And so we expect, again, it's a busy night, and sorry about the delay, but we have now with us Adrian White. Adrian, I know you've gone through this process before. Tell us about those two meetings that happened right ahead of that ratification tonight.
Well, everybody has been approved by the nomination committee, so they will be recommended to council in a few minutes when meeting starts just after 7 o'clock. There's a lot of excitement here. Council members are coming in. It's almost standing room only on the inside. We've got some great candidates that are being recommended. The public is going to be very excited. Our deputy is included. I just ask you all to wait until that time comes.
Now, while you may not be able to announce, we've heard a number of names announced already. And can you confirm the exact number of ratified candidates that we can expect tonight?
There were 12 ratified this evening. 12 were ratified in total. In the Family Islands, men and women, also in New Providence. Some very exciting ratifications expected in a few minutes.
And again, would you be able to confirm if Rick Fox is among those?
Mr. Fox is one of the individuals that is being recommended to council in a few minutes. And if you look at him, you're going to be looking way up there in the sky. He's a big guy, he's a good guy, and he's going to be doing good for our country in the next term.
So again, Makusha, tonight we expect those announcements coming in less than an hour, and so we'll be here throughout the whole event. We'll have more on this story. Reporting here from the Free National Movement's headquarters for the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Lloyd Allen. Back to you in studio.
Well, thanks, Lloyd. As you just heard, you can expect to hear more on that story in a later newscast. Now, while parties finalize their candidates list, the Parliamentary Registration Department and the Bahamas National Statistical Institute have officially begun a voter register verification exercise aimed at strengthening transparency and public confidence in the electoral process. Over some 8 weeks, trained scrutineers will be deployed across various islands verifying voter information, including registration status and residential addresses.
We are going to be engaging them in terms of their voter information, whether they're registered, whether they're actually living at the place where they're registered. As I said earlier, this voter roll, this continuous register, has been around from 2015, and many persons would have moved. Their situations would have changed, and we want to have an accurate reflection of that with our data set back at the office. This exercise is going to be conducted on the islands of New Providence, Grand Bahama, and Abaco.
Now, BNSI Managing Director Dr. Jamiko Delavo emphasized that while strict data protection measures are in place, the public's encouraged to cooperate with scrutineers.
Scrutineers are also required to sign confidentiality agreements within their contracts. Additionally, the server has secure access, and we're making sure that all data that is shared with us from respondents are going to be upheld and protected in the highest standard that is traditionally used and applied here at the Bahamas National Statistical Institute. I think some of the basic challenges, as you know, most Bahamians are going to be out of the house between 10 to 5. If not, they're sleeping because they're having to go to work in the evenings. So one way we're trying to get that across is by having our scrutineers work on Saturday and Sunday. Additionally, we've also hired people that are fluent in Creole.
Also making news this evening, recent central bank figures show a slight decrease in air arrivals. Despite this, the Minister of Tourism remains optimistic. Leah Cooper has the details in this next report.
Tourism here in the Bahamas continues to grow, but the story behind the numbers is more complex. According to the central bank's preliminary data, total visitor arrivals rose strongly in December, driven primarily by a surge in cruise passengers, while air arrivals show signs of softening. Tourism stats show that total arrivals in December jumped by more than 20% to 1.4 million visitors compared to how the figures stacked up the previous year. However, that growth was heavily weighted towards sea travel. Cruise passengers increased by 24%, reaching 1.2 million. By contrast, air arrivals rose by just 1% to about 200,000 passengers, a much more modest gain. We caught up with Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Chester Cooper, who continues to hold more accommodations are needed to boost those levels.
We need more rooms. We need more room inventory, and I think this is going to boost stopovers for the medium to long term.
Now, as for short-term results, the DPM boasts about the constant push to build relationships with international airlines, adding that we saw an increase since introducing Canadian-based Porter Airlines to the Bahamian market.
We are seeing steady growth already going into 2026. To the end of March, our forward bookings are looking extremely strong, which means that all things being the same and there not be any major disruptions, the first quarter of 2026 is looking to be very strong.
The DPM adds that there's also a strong push to increase traffic in the Family Islands.
We have Breeze that's starting up. It's a low-cost airline, and they're going to be starting very soon. We announced that a day or two ago. And we have American Airlines 3 times a week starting on Valentine's Day in Bimini. So we're continuing to add new routes, additional flights, larger planes on existing routes.
Mr. Cooper adds that his ministry will continue to put marketing muscle behind the Canadian market while pivoting and responding to market changes on a regular basis. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Leah Cooper.
On the labor front this evening, information communications and technology professionals staging a protest in their very own backyard today, citing workplace injustices stemming years back. Danielle Dean is on the story.
President of the Bahamas Public Services Union, Kimsley Ferguson, stood in protest with information, communications and technology employees attached to the Prime Minister's office. The public servants feel their daily work is frequently overlooked, alleging the lack of promotions, regularizations, and in some instances, pay. Senior System Network Officer Janet Pratt shares the concerns.
We have officers who have not been reclassified or promoted in so many years. We have established a new ICT scale, and to date, only 5 of our managers, or 5 of what you will call the executive managers, they were placed in these scales. They have already been given their promotions, reclassifications, their back pay. They have enjoyed their back pay. And all we are doing is standing here today to say that, okay, it is our time.
The union president says after years of waiting, they plan to apply more pressure if workers' cries aren't met with action.
Public servants can't get paid unless these people do their work. And so we have made many attempts. Courses of action will be considered if we don't get an audience in a very short time frame.
Ferguson and the department hope to see these issues resolved well in advance of elections, especially given the recent climate of protest by other unions who've seen some sort of resolve.
2 weeks is really reasonable, but to be definite, we want it way before election.
ZNS reached out to Minister of Economic Affairs, Senator the Honorable Michael Halkitis, who said the government has successfully addressed some long-standing issues with promotion, noting he's been advised there is a limited number of workers with outstanding matters, which the ministry is moving to resolve expeditiously. Reporting for the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Danielle Dean.
In related news, Labor and Public Service Minister, the Honorable Pia Glover-Roll, announcing a sweeping round of promotions to impact more than 2,000 public officers nationwide. Minister Glover-Roll says the move is part of a broader effort to restore morale, acknowledge institutional experience, and ensure talent is strategically positioned across key government ministries.
These are the public servants who are doing the work to ensure that the promotional exercise was complete, and they did a yeoman's work. And I want to congratulate every public servant across the Bahamas, every island, every ministry that was successful in this service-wide promotion that is being rolled out. And yes, they've already asked. There's another one that is imminent, but this one we want to make sure that this one is rolled out properly first, and then there will be another call that will come out for the next service-wide promotion.
The minister also revealing that comprehensive labor reform legislation is being drafted.
We're currently in drafting phase of our Employment Act and our Industrial Relations Act. As far as I'm aware, that has been completed. The next phase would be, once the drafters are complete, to take the draft legislation back to Cabinet. Once the Cabinet has approved, it will go back to final stakeholder consultation, which will be brief because the stakeholders have been a part of the process for the entire process. And then, of course, the movement of the legislation to Parliament, which I am absolutely looking forward to. We will be able to officially say that we've moved our labor legislation in the Bahamas into the 21st century after over a generation of it not being modern and facilitating the needs of a modern-day workforce.
Coming up, the Prime Minister addresses UB's Legal Week on the impact of AI. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. More news in a moment.
Imagine a world where every brand knows your name and every store awaits your arrival. Elite shopping, travel where luxury is a lifestyle and every journey feels like home. Dine where every flavor is just for you, every table reserved, and every moment a taste of perfection. Make every big moment even bigger. Experience banking where wealth isn't just managed, it's maximized. Step into a world without limits. Commonwealth Bank, leader in personal banking services.
Forget them flower, forget them check. You know it's Tommy, get the respect. AP is hot, we sitting close.
8 tasty pieces of chicken, thighs, and legs for just $20. Add a large side for $5. This February, love deserves a bucket. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Welcome back to The Movement, your energy and transport briefing. In this special edition, we look back at 2025, a year of milestones, breakthroughs, and real impact across both energy and transport in the Bahamas.
From groundbreaking energy projects to safer streets for our communities, 2025 is setting the pace for progress. Let's start by seeing how energy is powering our islands forward.
2025 marked a major leap in renewable energy. With the National Energy Policy 2025 to 2030 finalized, the foundation was set for cleaner, more reliable power. The Energy Summit brought it to life, spotlighting multi-island power purchase agreements, New Providence's first utility-scale solar project, and LNG agreements shaping a more sustainable future.
We are carefully overseeing each development, with most stations expected to be online by the fourth quarter of 2026.
The ministry's transport initiatives focused on safety and connectivity. School crossing guards and solar-powered signs improved road safety, while the Drive Safe to Arrive Alive campaign reinforced safe driving nationwide. Partnerships with AdFi and BTC also brought Wi-Fi to public buses and taxis, improving connectivity for commuters. 2025 wasn't just a year of plans, it was a year of action. Every ministry-led project and partnership brought cleaner energy, safer roads, and stronger connections, shaping a future Bahamians can rely on.
We've chosen a future where Bahamians can rely on their energy system instead of worrying about it.
I'm Larissa Lundy, and this is The Movement, your energy and transport briefing. 2025 set the pace, and our future is already in motion. Stay with us.
You're looking at a shot of Delaport Beach along West Bay Street. Delaport Point, a gated oceanfront community, sits in the background. And that shot, as you guessed it, courtesy of our drone pilot, Kyson Miller. Welcome back. 31-year-old Shaquan Storr facing the chief magistrate today on 2 environmental offenses. Storr is accused of intentionally and unlawfully damaging the environment on Sunday, January 11th by dumping green waste, which include grass clippings, trees, branches, and shrubs in the wetlands on Marshall Road. He was also charged with illegally dumping the green waste in the wetlands. The charges stem from a viral video on social media depicting a red dump truck illegally dumping along Marshall Road west near the wetlands. Storr denied any involvement in the matter and pleaded not guilty. He returned to court on March 25th for trial. ASP Forrest Carroll and Sergeant 3102 Danico Lightbourne are prosecuting the case. Well, young professionals preparing to enter the legal arena, hearing from Prime Minister the Honorable Philip Davis during last evening's opening to the University of the Bahamas' Legal Week. This year's theme, Tradition and Innovation, Redefining Law for Today. Prime Minister Davis, an accomplished attorney, noted that the ability of preserving traditional practices in law are becoming increasingly skewed in the face of artificial intelligence in virtually all major industries.
Tradition insisted that we read judgments with care. We learned to separate the holding from commentary, to follow a principle across a line of cases, and to notice when a court was quietly signaling a change in direction. Tradition also taught us about honesty with facts. If the evidence hurt your client's position, tradition did not permit you to pretend otherwise. You were expected to confront that difficulty, to face it squarely, and to give your client clear advice. These habits were drilled into us long before anyone carried a laptop into the courtroom.
President of UB Law Society, Duval Davis, and colleagues spoke to how they see the profession evolving and their expectations on the many presentations set for the week.
Looking forward to hearing from the CEO and President of Sun Oil, Dexter Adderley, on seeing how the energy reform in the Bahamas is taking place, specifically considering the climate on the political state regarding climate change of the world today?
We have to embrace technological advances, but we can't depart from our legal roots.
In other news, amid an upsurge in violence, CARICOM is renewing its call for all Haitian stakeholders to put the future of their people and country above all else and to act responsibly with urgency and patriotism. The plea comes as internal turmoil takes place on the island at the highest levels and at a time when, as CARICOM puts it, stability and level-headedness in decision-making and prioritization of the Haitian people are urgently required. On the ground, Haiti's Transitional Presidential Council, or TPC, has moved to oust Prime Minister Alex Didier Fils-Aimé just days before the council's mandate ends on February 7th. CARICOM finds this unacceptable, stressing the urgency for stakeholders to put aside differences to reach a consensus. Ultimately, CARICOM is hoping for lasting political stability, security, and peace in Haiti so that elections can be held and attention refocused on economic growth and sustainable development for Haitians. Meantime, ongoing violence on that island has led the Royal Bahamas Defense Force to expand its support team there from 6 to 20 Marines. Back here in the capital, in this next report, our Danielle Dean lets us in on what a recent walkabout through the Fox Hill constituency revealed.
A Fox Hill walkabout by area Member of Parliament, the Honourable Fred Mitchell, and the Ministry of Housing and Urban Renewal team revealed there's work to be done in the area.
In the time we've walked around, small issues, trees need cutting, environmental matters, some housing issues, but these are things we can address.
While Minister Mitchell admits the issues are the same as they were during the last walkabout, he also reflects on the cost of living as a concern, but said at the very least, no one should go to bed hungry.
No food to eat, that's something we respond to immediately, either through urban renewal or through the constituency office. We have accounts with all of the merchants in this area, so that's how we try and deal with that.
Other entities, including the National Training Agency and Pastor Emeritus of St. Paul's Baptist, J. Carl Ramming, also joined the walk, focusing on the young people in the area.
It's in an effort to locate young individuals who they can become employable in terms of being trained so that they can be then fostered onto a job.
It takes the church, the police, and other organizations to get in these areas and to throw out the lifelines, so to speak, and let young people in particular to know that it's more than just living a loose life.
Lyndon Arnett has been in the area since the age of 3 and claims each time he witnesses a walkabout, transformation of some degree follows.
I like to see them walking about. They need to try doing this every month, once a month, and that'll be great.
Reporting for the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Danielle Dean.
This portion of the news is brought to you by Full Call Smart Pass, the smart way to pay at the pump.
Guess what's back? Bigger, bolder, and trendier than ever. What's Trending returns February 9th with fresh stories, big energy, and all the vibes you love. And yes, we're kicking it off with love. Join us Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m. on the ZNS network, because if it's trending, we're talking about it.
Bang ding. Ding bang ding. Ding ding bang. Bang bang bang. Ding bang ding. Ding bang ding. Ding ding bang. Bang bang bang. Ding bang ding. Ding bang ding. Ding bang ding. Ding ding bang.
Introducing the Focal Smart Pass app that helps you to fuel up faster.
Here's how it works. Download the app on the App Store or get it on Google Play and create your profile with payment details. Visit your nearest Shell station. Open the app, scan the pump's QR code. Select your payment amount and begin fueling. Say goodbye to cash and cards because the Focal Smart Pass offers secure and convenient payment options right at your fingertips. Download Focal Smart Pass now and fuel up faster today.
Well, Royston and Marlena are just waiting to tell us what they have for us in tonight's segment of Access Now. So give it to us. Give it to us.
Well, Makashla, we've got some good stories of success and opportunity when it comes to Bahamians in the performing arts, both here and abroad.
Absolutely. There's a young Bahamian talent who's making waves abroad, snagging a role in The Color Purple, the musical.
Big news. And for those of us here, we've got a huge opportunity coming on the dance front. The Dance Theater of Harlem is coming, and we've got Robert Bain in the house of the National Dance Company to tell us all about it and how you can make sure that you have your opportunity to get your kids involved in it too.
Absolutely. Well, CAPA's doing some great things there, and certainly Bahamians doing some wonderful things abroad. Stay with us. The Bahamas Tonight. The National Report continues after this.
Sweet and spicy, marinated right, tossed with chili, garlic and ginger, got many flavors, like honey barbecue.
Signature hot wings, turn up the heat for you. Those pepper wings, what's your flavor?
Roasted garlic parmesan, tastes so good, chicken, you know. So many flavors to try. What's your flavor? Honey barbecue, sweet and spicy, all new.
Signature hot wings.
What's your flavor? Roasted garlic parmesan, tastes so good, chicken, you know.
Those pepper wings.
Throughout our lifetime, we must all make decisions. No matter how we choose, the right one just needs to be made. Like having J.S. Johnson Insurance Agents and Brokers as your insurance partner. We've been serving the Bahamas for over 100 years. Whether you need home, motor, marine, or commercial insurance, make the right decision. Call 397-2100 or visit jsjohnson.com.
J.S. Johnson Insurance, peace of mind.
Isn't that nice? Wait, you missed it? Ah, you haven't been on the website. Here's how TDC can help you. Whether you're turning your home into a vacation rental, pitching a business idea, or growing what you've already started, the TDC is here to help. Visit tdcbahamas.com for every conversation, event, grant, and opportunity happening near you. Tourism is all of our business, and the TDC is here to support yours.
And that there does it for the National Report, but stay close. The Bahamas Tonight continues with Access Now.
When powering an archipelago, every island matters. Today, that journey takes us to the island of Eleuthera, where our chairman, Christina Alston, is connecting with teams on the ground and in the office, sharing what's ahead for microgrids on Eleuthera and utility-scale solar for New Providence.
So we are standing on the island that actually inspired me to become an electrical engineer. My grandmother lived in Roxanne. She had no running water. We had, the little pump, kerosene lamp. And so it used to make me feel some kind of way that my house in Freeport had electricity. I always felt that we could do better. And we are here in Governor's Harbor, Eleuthera. We are beginning our Lunch and Learn series with the BPL staff. The microgrids are coming. The PPAs are signed and the IPPs will be on the ground soon. And so we just want to make sure that the staff is ready and that they are knowledgeable about what's coming so that when persons in the community ask them what's happening, they have all the information they need.
After hearing the chairman's perspective on where we're headed, we wanted to know how it landed with the team on the ground.
What I look forward to most from the IPP is seeing the new technologies that's coming on stream and the way that we've wanted BPL to kind of manifest into the technological space. Madam Chairperson highlighted some of the amazing projects that's going on. That's going to increase reliability, increase supply, and increase resiliency for the grid.
In terms of electricity, I really enjoy what I do. I'm very excited because for the past couple of years, we've been really having difficulties with electricity, and gives Eleuthera an opportunity to rise above the challenges that we're having.
And so now that we know that the solar integration and the moving to more sustainable fuels is on the way, we want to make sure that we treat the staff as one of our main stakeholders and get them the information that they need in a timely fashion.
Every conversation moves us forward, empowering our people and islands as we build for better.
Good to go. Keeping you in the know. Keeping you in the know. God, it's good enough to eat and it's good to grow. It's good enough to eat and it's good to grow.
Meet David Ramsey, a chicken and duck farmer in New Providence who started his farm after some encouragement from a friend 2 years ago. He says once he started, his love for it continued to grow.
The best part of this chicken business for me is actually growing them from the 1 day old to the point where they could actually take care of themselves, where the cold don't actually kill them. And what else I like about this is that when I reach to that point, I could get what I want for my chickens. I could sell eggs, I could sell meat, and this is the most favorite part of it. When I slaughter my chickens, I would be able to give people a meal.
He also donates chicken to children's homes and others in need.
And I'll see people and I'll say, hey, look like you could use a meal of this. You know, I do stuff like that. That's the best part about it, is being able to help people and offer people a meal. You know what I mean? And let them see what you want raised from literally nothing, you know? And that's the best part of it for me. When people could taste what I do and see what I do, and, you know, like even with the eggs, you know, they appreciate natural things, you know?
Ramsey says he's working to teach his children to be self-sufficient and to help others through farming. Keeping you in the know with Good to Grow, I'm Kendia Smith.
A new community center is on the way. The constituency's MP will tell us how close it is to opening.
Plus, student success celebrated at Columbus Primary. Those details straight ahead.
Also, Bahamian Creative lands a lead role abroad. Stay close for that.
And in sports, the private secondary school sudden death playoffs tip off.
Tonight, Access Now starts now.
Good evening on this thankful Tuesday. I'm Royston Jones.
And I'm Marlena Leonard. Welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, Access Now.
Welcome indeed. Well, Marlena, yesterday we saw frost on cars over in Andros. Today we had residents waking up to an interesting catch. We're talking frozen fish and not the kind of cod from Super Value.
I see what you did there. Interesting catch. That's right, Royston.
Yeah.
Several videos making the rounds on social media show some very enthusiastic Androsians filling coolers of frozen fish that allegedly washed ashore in Stanyard Creek and Morgan's Bluff.
Other posts found on social media show other residents expressing concern for what these chilly weather conditions mean for our marine life. This all highlighting just how low temperatures have dropped around the islands.
And it's similar to how the cold snap has taken a toll on thousands of frozen iguanas being found around the state of Florida.
Now, I understand that iguanas are edible in the U.S. I don't know how you feel about that, but definitely a winter story.
Definitely not doing that here.
Not here. Well, it's not legal here.
Yeah.
But definitely a winter to remember for sure. With that said, let's dive right into the news. Minister of Agriculture and Marine Resources and Member of Parliament providing an update on his constituency's community center set to open in the coming weeks. That's by way of Minister Jomo Campbell, who underscored the project represents a significant step towards empowerment while enhancing access to educational and social resources. The facility is also expected to play a key role in supporting local initiatives, along with fostering unity and growth.
We are expecting to be completed by the end of February, hopefully. Otherwise, the first week in March. But it's going to be truly remarkable for the residents of Centerville. Our pool is completed. It's just about to be tiled out. And we are just sealing off the interior right now and look forward to it because it's just around the corner for the grand opening.
How exciting. And still in the Centerville constituency, a celebration taking place at the Columbus Primary School. One that wasn't loud, but still meaningful. A room filled with young voices, steady applause, and shared belief that effort, when nurtured, always finds its reward. Here's Amaya Moss.
Columbus Primary hosted its honor roll assembly, recognizing students whose dedication and perseverance carried them through the Christmas term. 76 students earned their place on the honor roll, with a 90% increase from the school's 2025 summer results. A transformation school leaders say speaks to commitment, structure, and belief in every child. For the school's principal, Samantha Anderson, the moment is both emotional and affirming, and a reminder that progress happens when students are supported and expectations remain high.
It brings me so much joy as the principal of this institution to know that excellence begins here.
Joining in the celebration, Minister of Agriculture, the Honorable Jomo Campbell, praised the students' achievement, calling it a reflection of potential realized as the future takes shape.
This is a truly remarkable experience for me. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a joy to see the excitement in the young children, and not just with the children, with the parents. To see the amount of support we have out there from parents and guardians is truly remarkable, and it really speaks well for the future of our country.
But the loudest story belonged to the students. Their smiles, excitement, and quiet pride evident as certificates were handed out one by one.
It is an honor and a privilege to be honored with my trophy and my certificate, to know that I am loved and I am cared for.
I always dreamed that I want to go to Harvard, and I want to complete that goal. And I want to say that I am so proud of the other students who made the honor roll, and I wish them to do better in life, and I want them to continue to do better in school.
Something special is taking place at Columbus Primary, and its future is being written by small hands with big dreams. Reporting for the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Amaya Moss.
What a great story. Thanks so much, Amaya. More on Bahamian talent. A Bahamian creative snagging a big deal abroad in the Color Purple musical. The young talent will get to perform his new character through acting, singing, and dance. LaDon Davis recently caught up with him to find out more about the new role and what this all means for Bahamian creatives on the world stage.
Ever since I've seen the film, I've had a connection to it. So to now be able to be a part of telling the story.
Securing the lead role as Harpo in the Color Purple's musical set to premiere at the Zephyr Theater in Hollywood, California in March seems surreal for Bahamian creative Jonathan Farrington. The Color Purple has become a staple in black culture in the United States, not only in books, but has been acted out in movies starring prominent actors like Whoopi Goldberg, Danny Glover, and media mogul Oprah Winfrey. Farrington says being selected among hundreds who auditioned for the top role will position him to display his talents on the world stage.
Oh, it was a big open call filled with a lot of singers. And when I tell you these people are singing, you know, Americans are some of the best, African Americans are some of the best singers we have on the planet. So to be in that room and to share my voice, I went in there and I gave them a gospel rendition of Stand, and they loved it. And we had another call the next day for the dancing.
The 36-year-old son of the soil, who's been living in the City of Angels for 5 years now, says all of the training and experience has prepared him for his big break.
Able to tell the story of Harpo, who is the son of Mr. And Harpo is a character who is trying to find himself in his own way and his own perspective without the, I guess, leadership of his father, who has really been the guiding force in his life. But he really wants to break away, and he marries Sophia, who's a very strong-willed black woman.
Farrington hopes that this new opportunity opens up new doors for other Bahamian creatives constantly pushing to showcase their talents on the world stage.
There are so many opportunities for Bahamians, specifically in the arts, who want to be able to tell stories that are beyond just the borders of the Bahamas and bring our fresh perspective and our talents into these stories. I think there's a major doors of opportunity, and I can only imagine how it's going to really just mushroom into bigger doors.
Harpo, or Jonathan as we know him, will be among a 19-member cast, bringing the Color Purple to theater like you've never seen before. It runs March 13th through the 29th. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm LaDon Davis.
Still to come, we hear about local auditions for the Dance Theater of Harlem in New York. And of course, Chief Meteorologist Basil Dean has your Access weather forecast. So stay close.
Come and visit us at Shop Smart, 'cause everything is here.
Yes, we have it all for you. Toys, clothing, office supplies, appliances, custom cut blinds, bedding, drapes, and rugs. Come and visit us on Mackey Street, 2 blocks down from Wolf Road. Call us at 698-1052.
Shop Smart, Shop Smart, that's Shop Smart. Oh, everything is here.
Comfort Suites Paradise Island is the best-kept secret in the Bahamas. Located directly next door to the Atlantis Resort, you'll receive all the privileges of an Atlantis guest with all the benefits of a Comfort Suite stay. Enjoy everything Atlantis has to offer, including Aquaventure Water Park, plus all the amenities of Comfort Suites. Free Wi-Fi, free breakfast daily, and kids stay, play, and eat free. Visit ComfortSuitesPI.com.
It's time now for your Access weather forecast. High pressure beginning to weaken, and that will result in some reduction in those winds overnight. And then there's a frontal system on the way. We expect that to move into the northwest Bahamas on Thursday evening, and that will usher in some cool temperatures over the weekend. And your boating forecast tonight through Wednesday in the northwestern islands, the winds fall off 10 to 15 knots out of the east. Wave heights down 2 to 4 feet. Now the high tide, that will occur at 9:04 tonight, with a second high tide at 9:24 tomorrow morning. Now for the central and southeastern islands tonight and tomorrow, easterly winds at 12 to 18 knots, wave heights 3 to 6 feet. So we will maintain those caution flags for the central and southeastern islands through Wednesday. And then as we go into Thursday, the northwest and central islands, winds become southwest to west just ahead of that frontal system. Speeds picking up once again, 12 to 18 knots, and the wave height building 3 to 6 feet. So we will post that caution flag again for the northwest and central islands on Thursday. Now the high tide on Thursday, 10:06 in the morning, the low tide at 4:26 in the afternoon. And for the southeast Bahamas, a southwest component, 10 to 15 knots, and the wave height 2 to 4 feet. That's going to do it for your boating forecast. It's time now for your international temperatures, and they are brought to you by Royal Star.
He was barking at the 2 men who were gambling in the dark. It was Stagger Lee and Lee, 2 men who gambled lit. Stagger Lee threw 7 bills, swore that he threw 8.
And that's going to do it for your international temperatures, brought to you by Royal Star. Sean Split, stay tuned. I'll be back at 11 o'clock. Melina and Royston.
Clearly staying chilly. Thanks so much, Basil. Tonight we're joined by Robert Bain, the Artistic Director for the National Dance Company.
Welcome to the Bahamas Tonight. Access now.
Thank you for having me. This is great. It's great. Yeah.
Now, I hear you have a lot of reason to be excited. The Dance Company of Harlem, Dance Theater of Harlem, is coming to town.
Yes. Well, actually, it's the Dance Theater of Harlem School.
Okay.
Right. So there's a difference, the school and the company. People from the school go into the company eventually, yeah.
So it's still that foot in the door, getting ready,
this is getting you
priming you for that stage.
Absolutely.
And now they're coming here, and I understand there's an opportunity involved in this.
This is an opportunity. If you ever heard of an opportunity, this is an opportunity for our kids. What I'm trying to do is really create an ecosystem for dance, a pathway that the kids can actually move from Nassau or any island in the Bahamas and just go away and do the intensive and get into the programs there.
Pursue a career in dance.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, they say, well, we don't have that opportunity. Yes, you do have the opportunity now. And after this one, there'll be another one.
Another one.
Yeah.
For those who may not understand the significance of this, the National Dance Theater of Harlem School coming and engaging directly with Bahamian dancers. How significant is that?
Man, this is so significant. It's, you know, Arthur Mitchell, he created the dance theater of Harlem as a result of Martin Luther King's death back in the day. And he decided to form a company, a school first of all in Harlem. And so there's a history, and the history of dance theater also ties in Bahamians that have been a part of it, like myself, and there are others. There's like Patrick Johnson, who spent many years with the Dance Theater of Harlem, Tanya Leclerc, Sean Toussaint. These people are Bahamians, and there are more who have actually went through the door. So we're continuing the tradition. It is very important. This is
legacy.
Yeah. To be a part of that legacy, and we are going to continue. We are continuing the legacy of Bahamians being there. See, it's been the first time was kind of played down. This time it's going to be played up, and in terms of creating that pathway for much more Bahamian. There was just a couple. Now they're going to be many.
How exciting. Now, so for this particular set of auditions, is this mainly focusing on classical ballet dancers, or is this open to dancers with different levels of training specialization?
Well, Dance Theater of Harlem is multifaceted, right, as a company. But in most companies around the world, you go in any dance companies, the first thing they want to check for is your training, your background. And how best to do that, you need to come with a classical background. Now, they would go, if you were selected to go to dance theater for their summer intensive, you would do hip-hop, you'll do jazz, you'll do tap, even yoga. And they really get into a lot of things. Since I've been there, the school has changed a whole lot. And so they get into stuff like mindful things where they teaching these kids how to how to relax and yeah, that sort of thing. So it's going to benefit the kids a lot, what it's going to be off. But right now, as it stands, they need to show what they're really made out of.
Okay.
You know, yeah.
A lot of opportunities there, of course. I mean, from your perspective as an artistic director, what kind of doors do you see this long-term opening up for Bahamian dancers? Of course, we've heard some of the greats as well, but what can they expect to do from this or take on from this?
Well, you know, once you get into the system, once you get into New York City, there are lots of possibilities. You know, dancers don't only have to be at the Dance Theater of Harlem. You know, there are other companies in America, but you know, this provides a door.
Right.
It opens a door for them. They could end up at Alvin Ailey. They could end up, if they're classically brilliant, they can end up at New York City Ballet or Joffrey or some company. But first of all, they have to get there. And so we're providing that. We're giving them that opportunity. We're opening the door and we're saying, here, go in there and see what the possibilities are for you, and hopefully, you know,
acts as a springboard almost.
Yes.
Oh yeah, basically.
A massive opportunity.
Yeah, people don't. A lot of persons don't realize how important this is.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal, you know. But the thing about it, we don't want to only just have the people in Nassau. That's always the thing. We would like people from Grand Bahama, Abaco, Zuma, all the islands if possible. If the kids can get here to the audition, which takes place on the 13th and 14th of February, if they can get here to do that audition, you know, once if they accept it, listen, man, we're going to find some way to get them there, you know.
Yeah, well, by that point, everyone will be helping to fundraise for that, I'm sure.
I'm telling you, yeah.
I'm sure. Now, for the young dancers and the parents watching at home, sounds like they've got a couple of weeks to finish dialing things in before these auditions. What would you say to them to encourage them to come out and be a part of this moment, and how can they get more information? Well,
if they need information about the audition, they can go to our website, which is www.ndcbahamas.com. Our telephone, 812-4007. That's 812-4007. I guess, you know, basically they need to trust the training that they have been receiving from their teachers, and they need to come in there and do their best. And the thing is, once you're in that environment, most times, you know, if you're not up to scratch like that, people tend to see possibilities in students and say, you know something, I see a lot of fire in you, man. We're gonna keep
an eye.
Yeah, we can keep an eye on you.
And the opportunity's still there.
Absolutely.
Mr. Bain, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We have to have you back, and we're wishing you all the best, of course.
Yes, thank you very much. This is awesome. I appreciate this so much.
It's time now to turn things over to ZNS Total Sports to see what's on tap.
The BAISS, the sudden death basketball playoffs taking place last night at the Kendall G. Lozic Gymnasium. We'll see who advanced. Details of that story and more coming up in sports.
The Wapo Whopper with cheese never tasted so good. 100% flame grilled beef, now juicier. With fresh ingredients as usual. And even fluffier buns. The Whopper with cheese. Bigger, better, tastier. Get a regular combo for only $9. Only at Burger King Nassau.
At We Buy and Sell, we help you upgrade your home the smart way, from solar panels and solar lights to strong doors, storm-ready windows, tiles, mirrors, vanity, faucets, and more. Everything you need is right here under one roof. Great quality products, great price, and fast, friendly service every day. Visit us on Robinson Road or send us a message on WhatsApp 242-636-8412 or shop anytime at wbusbahamas.com. We Buy and Sell. Upgrade your home today.
Back at Little Caesars and good. Our popular Chicago-style pizza is back for a limited time only. Enjoy this delicious, thick, buttery crust pizza that's packed with layers of cheese, meats, and veggies for just $18. That inclusive. Now available at all 5 of our locations. Little Caesars, Oakville, Carmichael Road, East Street, Pineapple Plaza, Charles Saunders Highway, and One East Plaza.
Pizza.
Tuesday Sports Check, everyone. I'm Amajal Knowles. Well, the stakes don't get any bigger. It was do or die sudden death playoffs in the BAISS basketball season yesterday. Let's take a look at the tape. Fans turning out to the Kendall G. Isaacs gym last night in droves to support their squad's BAISS sudden death basketball playoffs. First on the court in junior girls, SAC and QC would renew their rivalry, but for the competition, this one would be a one-sided affair from the buzzer would sound. The Comets got out to a strong start and never looked back. By the end of the first quarter, they were ahead 12-5. They led 20-8 at the half. The Comets held SAC to without a single point in the third quarter. Jada Frazier pouring in a game-high 26 points. Tajanique Morley adding 11. The Comets cruising to the title game with a 40-14 win.
Well, this was basically our second time around playing them. The first time was a basically learning experience. When we sit back in the zone, they're a team that actually like to play half-court defense. They score easily that way. So this time we plan on just turning up the intensity by pressing them a little bit higher.
It was an okay game. I could have scored more off the ball, but I just wanted to get my teammates involved so we could get the win.
Over to the senior girls showdown with QC again. This time they would square off with the St. John's Giants. And for SJC, they too went up big before they even really broke a sweat. They led 13-2 after the first quarter and 28-6 at the half. They would go up 45-10 after 3, led by a balanced scoring attack between Melody Ferguson and Zuri Hanna, who had 11 apiece. Raven Lewis chipped in with 9 points as well. They would punch their ticket to the title game with a blowout victory, 52-12.
Well, I guess it started off with defense. We focus more on defense and create a lot of turnovers and easy buckets. We bound the ball well tonight. We did a better job than we did in all season long. We bounded the ball. And the center, Zuri Hanna, she had about 15 blocks tonight, which is really good, So you get past our guards, our first and second string, you get our center to deal with.
And to the game of the night in senior boys, the same two schools would face off. This time, the undefeated pennant-winning and defending BAISS senior boys champs, the St. John's Green Giants. They would clash with the 4th-seeded Queens College Comets. This one would be a story of two halves. Early on, it would look like QC would be the top seed, racing out to an early lead and eventually going up by double digits at the half. But like legendary Houston Rockets coach Rudy Tomjanovich once said, never underestimate the heart of a champion. The Giants would come storming back in the third, led by star guard D'Alfo Gibson Jr., would hit this tough crossover and stab back jumper. He would finish with 29 on the night and 18 in the second half. The Giants would live to fight another day in advance to the title game with the 67-59 comeback win.
Discipline, focus,
and being prepared. We're the champs. I try to let my boys know that we're gonna get everybody best shot. So we got to come in every game prepared and focus and execute the game plan.
As for the junior boys game, due to the disqualification of the two-time defending champ St. John's College Giants due to an ineligible player, that game was called off on Monday. Therefore, currently at this hour, 2 junior boys games taking place. The pennant winning QC Comets facing the 4th-seeded CW Saunders Cougars. In the other bracket, the SAC Big Red Machine will take on the St. Anne's Blue Waves. Results from those games for you in tomorrow's Sportscast. And of course, the best of 3 championship series will begin on Friday. To the collegiate ranks, it was a potential showdown between NBA lottery picks as Bahamian collegiate star Donnie Freeman and his Syracuse Orange. They would take on potential top 10 pick Caleb Wilson and the North Carolina Tar Heels. Freeman, for most of the contest, did essentially everything for the Orange. They ran their offense through him and him only, and only rested him for 5 minutes. He scored 56% of their first half points and 30% of their points by the final buzzer. He would finish with 23 and 8 and 2 blocks as well. But unfortunately for the Orange, they would fall to the Tar Heels 87-77. And from the court to the road, we catch up with members of the Bahamas Cycling Federation who gave the ZNS sports team a look at what's on their agenda in 2026.
Well, the whole idea is for the opening up of the 2026 season. I think it's very important. We've already had rides in Exuma, which was last weekend, the takeaways. We're going to have Tour of Grand Bahama next weekend, the 14th and 15th in Grand Bahama. And so, and then we just this week we got our contributions of equipment in from the UCI Solidarity, which is very important for the development and the growth of cycling, both here in New Providence and our family of islands. Our movement going forward for this year, we have a lot of educational aspect of the cycling, where there's training of coaches, training for mechanics, and all of those happening in this year. In addition to that, we also be talking about our nationals, which will be held again once again this year in Exuma, which is very important for the Bahamas Cycling Federation.
And that's been a look at your sports on this Tuesday. I'm Amajal Knowles, signing out until tomorrow.
Come and visit us at Shop Smart, 'cause everything is here.
Yes, we have it all for you. Toys, clothing, office supplies, appliances, custom cut blinds, bedding, drapes, and rugs. Come and visit us on Mackey Street, 2 blocks down from Wolf Road. Call us at 698-1052.
Shop Smart, Shop Smart, that's Shop Smart. Oh, everything is here.
The internet isn't just for surfing. There's a sea of shoppers buying online, and you can connect with them on Tingsy. Tingsy is the SBDC's online storefront built for Bahamians. Take your business to the next level by selling to customers online, both at home and around the world. People want Bahamian things, and if you got things to sell, sell on Tingsy. Find out how you can connect with a sea of buyers by visiting tingsybahamas.com.
You're looking at a popular tourist activity, parasailing. The recreational sport was developed in the 1960s, and now it's time to take a trip to the Family Islands. Let's go.
Thanks, Marlena. Elevate Eleuthera is a unique initiative designed to create a clear journey towards first-time businesses in South Eleuthera, as well as serving as a blueprint for non-metropolitan business across the country and getting the tools needed for launch. Lloyd Allen shares more from partners of the project, Disney Cruise Lines, and the Bahamas Development Bank.
The Bahamas Development Bank, along with Disney Cruise Line, inspiring new economic growth across the island of Eleuthera. Elevate Eleuthera is the project that the two have worked together in creating a number of businesses earmarked for success moving into the future.
Disney approached us with quite a bit of challenges that they were facing as they launched Lookout Key in South Eleuthera. And so the Elevated Eleuthera program was designed to take participants through a comprehensive program.
That program, according to lead project coordinator and BDB assistant manager Regina Smith, focuses on three main achievables: enhancing business readiness, compliance, as well as technical skills and support.
We have quite a bit of photography businesses, tour and fishing businesses, and so the range is wide. Island, and especially the island of Eleuthera, definitely holds dear to me. And so being able to take those businesses from start to finish and technically hold their hand along the way. And so this program was definitely comprehensive, but it was hands-on. So it met the entrepreneurs where they were at, whether they were startups or existing, and it took them to this series of programming with various consultants, just helping them along the way.
Securing liability insurance for those businesses engaged with cruise passengers, as well as grant funding, was where BDB stepped in. This providing a game changer for operators like Edrin Simonet, owner of No Stress Fishing Adventures.
And so Edrin takes you on this wonderful and amazing tour throughout Roxanne, Eleuthera. And so you're on the boat, you're on the water, and you're actually stone crab fishing.
Regional Public Affairs Director for Disney Cruise Line, Joey Gaskin, says the partnership helps with its promise of building and supporting SMEs within Central and South Eleuthera.
Some of these businesses have come to work with us, but others have gone on to build, grow, create new businesses in the community. And it's our belief that as part of this community, as good neighbors, it's our responsibility to help these communities to grow, to expand, and then to take advantage of the opportunities that are coming their way.
For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Lloyd Allen.
Thanks, Lloyd. It's now time for Let's Talk Socials with Matea Stewart.
Hola, welcome back to Let's Talk Socials. Today we're talking about the 2026 Grammy Awards, and this year's show was one for the history books. Let's recap. Bad Bunny made headlines after winning Album of the Year for Debí Tirar Más Fotos, becoming the first artist to take home the top prize with an all-Spanish album. His emotional acceptance speech celebrating Puerto Rican culture quickly went viral across social media. Kendrick Lamar also dominated the night, winning multiple awards, including Record of the Year with SZA for Luther, and Best Rap Album for GNX, officially making him the most awarded rapper in Grammy history. Another major movement came from Olivia Dean, who took home Best New Artist. Social media users celebrated her soulful sound and steady rise, calling her win one of the most well-deserved of the night. I may be a little biased, but I'd cast Olivia's vote 100 times over if I could. Another standout moment came from Billie Eilish, who won Song of the Year for Wildflower, alongside her brother Phineas, continuing their streak as one of music's most successful sibling duos. Beyond the trophies, the Grammys also became a space for activism. Several artists used their acceptance speeches to speak out against ICE policies and immigration enforcement, sparking widespread conversation online about human rights, representation, and whether award shows should be used as platforms for protests. When it came to performances, Justin Bieber surprised viewers with a stripped-down performance of Yukon, while Tyler, the Creator, brought bold visuals and high energy to the Grammy stage. From historic wins to viral moments, the 2026 Grammys proved once again that music and social media go hand in hand. Those are the moments everyone was posting about. I'm Matea, and this has been LTS.
Thanks so much, Matea. That does it for Access Now for tonight. Join us tomorrow night. We'll have Ricardo Bethel with some sweet treats in time for Valentine's and some mini charcuterie boards.
Yes, and stay tuned for the rundown with Howard Grant.
Good night, everybody.
The Hidden Disabilities Sunflower is a globally recognized symbol for persons with invisible disabilities.
The Sunflower lanyard made our journey less stressful, smoother, and more inclusive.
REACH is proud to support the Hidden Sunflower Scheme, which makes the invisible visible. So far, the Nassau Airport Authority and the Nassau Cruise Port are Sunflower certified.
So if you see someone with a sunflower lanyard, always remember to be patient and ask if they need some help. Please be kind and always remember to show respect.
We wish to encourage more hotel operators with amenities such as water parks, restaurants, cinemas, government offices to join this initiative, making the Bahamas a more sunflower-friendly country.
Please feel free to reach out to the REACH office at 328-4123, or you can reach out to the National Commissions for Persons with Disabilities at 396-8700.
At Harold One, I'm Ted Jervis, and this is ZNS.
Good evening, Bahamas, and welcome back to the Rundown. Now, last night we spoke, we had to set the table, and we spoke about some of the big realities that we've been wrestling with here in the country, and the cost of living, whether that be the crime, immigration, healthcare, education, and the larger question of national direction. Now, not to dramatize it, but to name it. And the way we name it, the same way the village names it, plain, honest, and rooted in lived experience. Tonight, we're going to take that conversation one step deeper, because behind every headline and every pressure we feel, there's a system. There's planning, there's policy, there's investment decisions. And there's a wider global environment that moves faster than we like. And if we're going to talk about where we are, we also have to talk about how we got here and how we build a future that doesn't leave us permanently exposed. Joining me tonight is going to be Gawain Bowe, an economist and the Group Chief Executive Officer of Fidelity Bank right here in the country. And he's also been closely tied to the conversation around national development, often referred to as Vision 2040. I know you guys would have heard of that. And as he's been identified as the Vice Chair of the Steering Committee connected to the implementations efforts. And that's important because right now the country is also in public consultation on the proposed legislation to create a National Planning Institute. Another step in giving the development plan structure beyond talk. But before we discuss that topic, we want to insert just a bit of politics here and get an update from the Free National Movement's ratification exercise taking place tonight at the party's Mackey Street headquarters. We understand that roughly around 20 persons or so will be getting the party's nomination tonight. They'll be getting the nod. Lloyd Allen joins us with the latest. Good evening, Lloyd.
Well, Howard, we're here tonight again at the Free National Movement's headquarters, where, as you can see right behind me, a flow of supporters are making their way onto the inside where that official ratification is expected to begin. Again tonight, 12 candidates across the country adding to the already list of 28. And among that list of 28 is Marvin Dames, who has now been ratified for the Mount Moriah constituency. Marvin, of course, you're not a newcomer to this. Why run again?
I have to go back. You know, I miss the good people of the Mount Moriah constituency. You know, walking through those communities, Yellow Elder, Millennium Gardens, and Stapleton Gardens, always give me a rush. You know, and you know, they've been calling for me to return, and I'm excited. You know, I'm excited to get back in there and reclaim this constituency and reclaim the government as a party, you know?
And again tonight, one of those questions that we talked about off camera was, again, you served previously as Minister of National Security. If your party is successful, would you seek to serve in that capacity again?
Well, that will be up to the Prime Minister. And we know our next Prime Minister will be Michael Pintard, so he will have to make that decision. But whatever decision is made, you know, I will gladly embrace. We're in a bad place in this country. Let's face it. This country needs a lot of work. Each day, as each day passes, we continue to regress as a company. It's very tough out there for people, and I see it right in Mount Moriah. You know, daily people are having difficulty putting food on the table, giving their kids lunch money, providing for their loved ones, meeting utility bills, and even burying their loved ones. You know, I hear from residents all the time. And it's sad where we have come to in this country, but we're dealing with a government who has a very, I mean, they're the government of a few. They have totally forgotten the masses. While the masses continue to suffer, they continue to live on their high horses, you know, and Bahamian people need better.
And then finally, of course, we know that 12 candidates are expected to complete the Free National Movement's list of ratified candidates going into the country's next general elections. Among that list, persons like Rick Fox, who again has been told initially no, now he is, from what we've heard, being fast-tracked. So again, are you satisfied with the list of candidates going forward?
Oh yeah, you know, our party have a very, very rigorous selection process. And all of these candidates would have endured that. And coming out at the end of this, I believe firmly that we would have done an amazing job in selecting a good cadre of candidates that best represent the ideals of this party and will certainly be a credit to whichever constituency they're running in. All right, and that is what we need, because we had to assemble a cross section of our nation. You know, we have women, we have young, we have in between. You know, and we have really good quality candidates that can represent us anywhere. You can't say that of this government now.
And then finally, of course, for those persons sitting at home, tell us about what's expected over the course of the next few hours here.
Well, as we speak, they're going through the final process. The council is currently meeting, and they have to put their final stamp of approval on the candidates, and we'll see what happens at the end of the day. But whatever happens, I believe that as a party, we have assembled a good core of professionals who can certainly lead us into the next general election and become the next government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and that will happen.
Well, it's definitely a wait and see toward that journey, and of course, we'll report more here for the Free National Movement's headquarters for the Bahamas Tonight. For the Bahamas Tonight. For the rundown, Howard, back to you in studio.
We got too much shows, right? Ladies and gentlemen, you can be able to hear more from Lloyd Allen tonight at 11 p.m. the newscast. You'll be watching right here with the rundown with Howard Grant on ZNS Network. Our conversation straight. It starts after this.
Guess what's back? Bigger, bolder, and trendier than ever. What's trending? Returns February 9th with fresh stories, big energy, and all the vibes you love. And yes, we're kicking it off with love. Join us Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m. on the ZNS Network, because if it's trending, we're talking about it.
Well, what about me? What about you? What? Well, I thirsty too, you know. You want to see all the water out there? Well, why you don't give me your water, and then you go try and drink that salt water? You crazy, eh? I ain't the one talking to a dog, you know. Ain't nobody can drink salt water. Then why you won't give it to me? All dogs need fresh, cool water and sufficient shelter from the sun all year round, especially on the beach and during the hot summer months.
Summers are very hot here in the Bahamas, so please make sure all pets have ample, cool, fresh water in proper containers and sufficient shelter from the sun, even on the beach. And make sure all dog houses and kennels have proper ventilation. Let's make it Bahamian to be humane.
This message has been brought to you by the Bahamas Humane Society and the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas.
Our mandate on the mission statement for the program is to develop community leaders and nation builders through the art of Jonquil. The future belongs to them, so being able to instill the culture in young people and at the same time make them productive citizens of the society is basically what our program offers. We teach them from scratch, so how to pace, how to beat a drum, how to ring a cowbell, how to blow a horn, to get that good understanding of what the culture is like. The program is more than just Junkanoo itself, where we bring a group of teens to perform, but we also assist them with life lessons, finding scholarship opportunities for them to go abroad and further their education. In this day and time, it's very hard for kids coming up, and so we try to find means within the Junkanoo arena, but at the same time use just Junkanoo as the outlet to make them better at life. Crime free? Looks like me.
Do your part. Join the movement to a safer Bahamas.
Welcome back to The Rundown. I'm Howard Grant. Ladies and gentlemen, Gowan Bowe is here to talk all things economics. My brother, now you tell me not to call him,
well, you know,
Mr. Bowe. Gowan is here to be able to enjoy ourselves. My brother, it's very good to see you again, man.
Yeah, man, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Be prosperous. You know.
Absolutely.
Seems wherever you go, I follow.
He's a good man, right? He's a good man, right? Talk to me about it, man. Last time we, we always try to be able to dive into a conversation. I wanted to kind of format what we're doing in this space and not just being able to introduce political. I know everybody's kind of eager for a political conversation and talk about it right now. It's in the air, but the truth of the matter is that there are some underlining subterranean issues that we still have to tackle. And one of those issues have been the NDP, the National Development Plan. Talk to me about that.
Well, I think the greatest challenge is, have you taken a transatlantic flight that gone over anywhere, the UK, Europe? And I only say that to be longer than to the Miami, the 1 hour. When you go on a 9-hour flight, are you hoping that the pilot flying by sight or by some navigational system? I know for me, I hope he know where he going, because it's usually overnight. There's no line of sight, and you need to have direction. You need to have, if you will, the compass. You need to have the GPS system that is telling you the direction you're going. If you think about a country, why would it be any different? Because ultimately, when we are talking about moving from generation to generation, and we think about our forefathers, they may not have put it, what I'm going to say, succinctly in what they call a national development plan, but they had vision for where they wanted the country to go, not in a political term, not in even their lifetime. They had a viewpoint of where they wanted to leave the country when they had been and left their footsteps. And so when we start talking about where we are today, I think it's important to say we've had 50+ years of independence. And if we speak candidly, we have gotten to where we are largely out of good graces, our geographical location, and the foreplanning of our forefathers.
I read something in 2023, most recently, as we prepared for the NDP being signed, and I think there was implications that it was a country with no rudder, or something to that effect. Talk to me about it.
And it's saying that if you don't have a common vision, and this isn't talking about a unanimous and everyone is in agreement, but if I were to ask you, well, what is the Bahamas? How would you define it? It's very unsettling. Well, we know that promotion, but if we paused and said, well, is it sun, sand, and sea? Yeah. Because the reality is that was the promotion of rehabilitation, recreational, medicine, etc. And we built an industry around it, but it morphed because if you think about what became our tourism product, it was resorts, casinos. I didn't hear sun, sand, sea, and ching ching. No. Right? But it evolved. And the reality is that when we look at the country and we say that we went from, yes, a colony that really had its order directed from the colony. We moved from a situation where our education system was largely dependent on being fortunate to get into an elite school that drove persons with their academic achievements because that's where they wanted to be, the government high. But it really was parents who were saving, sacrificing to get them into university, into the UK, etc. To things that started to emerge because of our forefathers. So the University of the Bahamas, or now University of the Bahamas, came out of COB, which came out of the government high. You had the Mortgage Corporation, which said, how do we own a piece of the rock and provide support? You had the National Insurance Fund that said, okay, how do we create a social security net for people who are working to ensure they have a dignified living when they retire? We have a number of other institutions like the Central Bank and others. But why I start there is by saying, what new institution have we developed since
This is heavy
then?
what you're saying, because I'm listening to sort of the course that you're taking, the trajectory, and you're saying the same concept that I've taken in terms of being able to approach this conversation, past, present, future. You're saying from a historic standpoint, we understood the importance of being able to make these steps for the future, but now this generation, this dispensation, have not done that. We haven't done those particular things.
No, we've lived off of what had been laid before us. And now what is frightening, and when I say that, not to create pandemonium, what are we leaving for our kids?
Is that a concern, though?
Well, I'm going to say, so let me speak about some of it. A national insurance fund that is projected to be insolvent by 2033. I don't know about you, but I can still be a young fella when that takes place. 2033. Right? You know, just 7 years, right?
Okay, good.
We have a Bahamas Mortgage Corporation that is saying we have a housing shortage, and we could talk about that. But what I'm saying is, we know that more and more people are not being able to access home ownership, sometimes because of their own choices and the things that they put priority over. But we have an institution that, is it living up to its purpose? We have a situation that when we look at our other bodies in terms of saying, well, okay, where is our economic planning? Where is our investment driving us? Where is our natural resources planning, our land policy? What institution are we trusting or relying upon other than what I'm going to call the political directorate that changes every 5 years?
I just wanted to ask you that because I recognize and understand through the course of the conversation that we're having that there has been this morphing that we talked about, this shifting that we talked about, that took us from being able to understand the importance of sustainability, growth, development, and the undergirding for the inheritance of a next generation into this sort of a direction that says, I just want me now.
And today.
Give me now.
Right? And I think
it's an unfortunate thing.
It's sad because you almost hear a person saying, well, I'm not have to worry about it when I passed on.
Let the children deal with that.
You know, and the truth is, I look and say, well, I stand on the shoulders of grandparents, parents who sacrificed so that I could be where I'm at.
Yeah.
It is irresponsible for me to say that my children are not going to have that same leg up.
This is a heavy conversation that we're having. And ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to be able to do this, to be able to kind of prick your consciousness to a very clear understanding of where we are in this nation. What's happening here is that just as we hit those bullet points yesterday, we recognize that everyone is intimately involved with the other. And the importance of being able to understand how, whether that be the cost of living, whether that be shocks, whether that be tourism, the vulnerability and earlier shocks and whatnot that happen in these particular areas, even crime. It's important that we understand the importance for growth and development and how these things connect.
And I think, you know, when we look back and say, the National Development Plan, let's be very clear, is something that has been talked about in our society from the days of Pinling and Adriana.
Yes.
Right? So this isn't something that was new.
It ran concurrent with Bohemianization, by the way.
Well, I'm saying that they had the concept of what is our national priority and how do we create the vision for the country and move forward. It is sad that it took us almost 40 years subsequent to that to even, what I'm going to say, re-energize the conversation. But I think what we started to realize is we went through a lot of ups and downs that left us exposed in terms of saying, when something bad happens, what do we do? 9/11 being, you know, a primary one. But think about what happened 7 years after that, a global recession. And households today have not recovered because the housing situation that we have in distressed property.
You went far. You started in 2001. Yeah, but in 1992 with Hurricane Andrew.
Well, we knew that, and I moved slightly past that because why I said that is, at that point in time, our economic circumstances still had headroom that allowed us greater flexibility to start doing some things.
Okay.
Whether we did the right things or not is for history to judge later on. But certainly as we moved into this, I thought you were going to go to 91, which was the first Gulf War.
Yeah, the Gulf War,
that created,
which was a humongous thing.
Right, that created a recession.
Yes,
that was global.
It did.
But what we saw was a compounding of how severe events were, because the Gulf War was a minor event compared to what happened in 9/11, which was a minor event which took place in the Great Recession, which was a minor event in terms of what happened in the global pandemic. And so countries around the world that were certainly looking at seriously saying, how do we prepare ourselves for the next event, started with a national development plan. So when we look at Singapore, we look at some of the Scandinavian countries, even closer to home, and we look at Jamaica, and we look at where they came from in their economic circumstances, IMF program, really in the verge of default on debt, and now basically the sort of beacon of how do you get your fiscal house in order. But it was because they grabbed the bull by the horns and said, notwithstanding the impending sort of oversight by the IMF, we will do it ourselves. And I think that, you know, the then Prime Minister, Perry Christie at the time, I think was smart enough to listen to people around him. So people may assume that I was giving him all the credit. He had a younger minister in the form of Kayla's Roll that was having the conversation with the IMF and IDB and those that were talking about how they would help us develop a plan and give us something off of the shelf, the IDB, so let me be clear. And it was more a case of saying, well, why do we take someone else's plan? Why do we not create our own? And the government of the day had the maturity, I'm going to say, to do that. Now, I don't think it's happenstance that that was allowed to also take place during the VAT conversation, VAT. And the reason why I say those two come in tandem is because that was the first seismic shift in our tax system since independence.
You know, what's heavy is that I never forget the commercials that were actually surrounding the VAT conversation. I believe that this was the onset of the transition that happened. There was this conversation that said, you really think they're going to do VAT? Because we had traditionally been able to introduce concepts and ideas for growth and development and then pull back from it. Yep. We've never been able to step into it. VAT was one of the first things that we would have done almost in decades that we could have been able to put a tangible finger on and say, oh my God, we've actually done that.
And look at how we did it, which was most important. I don't want people to revise history. The government announced a plan that did not have broad consultation.
No.
And some may get offended at that, but that was just the reality. Yeah. You had a business community in general and citizens that said, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Just because it was being imposed, right? And you had, if you will, a coming together of the business community that said, even though they were in opposition, let us study this. Pause. Let us at least have an understanding if this is the right one. And if it is not, let us look at the other options. Then let us look at the structure and how we're going to manage this as we go forward. And the collaborative effort, to me, what astounds me today is the success of that has, for whatever reason, not been replicated by successive governments since then.
Well, I want to talk about that. I want to talk further about this sort of the concepts and ideas, and I really want to talk about this lead into the NDP. One of the things that actually stood out to me is that this has almost been sort of a copy and paste concept, making modifications to ensure that it fits our society. Do you still believe that the NDP, the Plan 2040, is prepared to be able to make the modifications for this kind of a fluid society? And I say fluid because we are familiar with the term fluidity now. Since the pandemic, right? And so we've become fluid in our growth, in our prospects, and all these particular things. Does the plan still have the strength? Does it still have the pillars? Does it still have the backbone to be able to take us where you envisioned, or where they envisioned collectively when they, at the onset?
I think the very confident answer is yes. And the reason why I say that is it started from analysis of where we were, the state of the nation. And the truth of the matter is it was very sobering, that our education system deteriorates after grade 3, that our actual contribution from foreign direct investment was less than 20%, that our natural and built environment had no real policy, We had no investment policy that international investors could hold their hat on as saying being consistent. It was a loose policy and really at the behest of who was in government at the time and the leaders. And so when you started from a position of saying this is where we are, and then you built 4 pillars that were flexible, so you say fluidity, but I'm going to say flexible. It was looking at what I call the social pillar. So this is our healthcare. We know we've seen deterioration. This is our community. We know what crime is, education. So what I'm going to call those aspects that are the fabric of the society. It then looked at the economic pillar to say, well, how is it that you feed yourself? So what is it that you're going to sell yourself as a nation? What's your product? What's your service? What's your identity? It then has the elements of our built and natural environment. So we have a lot of sun, sand, and sea you mentioned. So are we using the sun for solar? Are we using the water for wind, for wave energy and using it for blue carbon and the ones that you now see emerging in the conversation? These all started going back now more than 10 years ago in terms of the most recent conversation. And then the final one, which we don't like to touch on, was governance, and is governance. Meaning that all of this is for naught if we don't have the right people in the right place making the right decisions. And based on their performance, not based on their tenure of being there for the last 30 years.
Well, I want to be able to continue this conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be back and be able to dive deeper into this conversation and talk. We're just getting started. We're just getting started. We'll be right back, right here on The Rundown after this.
I have been coming to this island since I was 12 years old. It didn't take me long to realize the rich history it has here. When I bought this island in 2018, I fulfilled a lifelong dream. The goal is not only to preserve the memories I made over those years, but to make new ones and to give others the opportunity to do the same. As we go through this process, it has become clear to me, we aren't just rebuilding an island, we're reviving a legend.
Let's go. At Frame Studio, as soon as you enter the door, we showcase any individual that comes in there and make it feel like they are at home. The space itself is 1,800 square foot. Our site wall, which is industry standard also, is 24 feet wide. You could do anything that you can possibly think of. At Frame Studio, under our theme, Now Create More, we look at Frame Studio as a canvas. And any artist knows a canvas is blank, and then you create whatever you want to do, right? So we have where you could rent tools. We even have workstations that people could rent out to anyone inspiring to do what I've done, or what my colleagues have done, or any other journey. I would say to you, don't be afraid. The worst someone can actually tell you is no. So if you have a vision, you have an idea, not everyone will get it. But if you believe in your vision, you believe in your idea, I say go wholeheartedly at it.
For more information about the Creative Entrepreneurs Initiative and the Crafting the Bahamas workshops, email info@sbdcbahamas.com or call us at 461-7232.
Welcome back to The Rundown. Howard Grant, ladies and gentlemen, and we're continuing our conversation with Gowan Bowe. Now, we've talked about the past, we've talked about these sort of concepts, but before we dive into the concept of the past, I want to be able to touch something. We've really touched, and on the break we had a little chit-chat about it. We've touched the tangibles. We've touched the necessity for being able to develop a structured plan. We've touched a great deal of the tangibles that we need to be able to shift. But I am concerned about the intangibles. And why I say concerned is because the truth is that if we shift the tangibles, if we move one thing to another, and we still have a conditioned mindset to place us in the position where no matter the beauty of an environment, we can change it, how do we retain the change? How do we find ourselves to a position for growth and development? I'm here with Gowan Bowe. We're going to be talking about that. My brother, tell me about this. Tell me about how do we retain this change after we would have shifted everything in preparation for this beautiful future that we envision?
Well, I think as we spoke about, is changing the mindset of the people. And I think it is not as impossible as we think, because our mindset 50 years ago was very different than it is today. So the same way it was conditioned through, I'm going to say, the commercialization of our environment and looking at North America and all of what I'm going to call, I don't want to be disparaging, but the hip-hop side of it, and not talking about the rap per se. I'm talking about the glamour of what was this glitz and glamour of being in this consumer environment. And so the National Development Plan does start with a significant component about the community that is looking at the social order and the social fiber. One of the analyses that was performed is when you look at the family structure, that you had the nuclear family consistently. I'm not going to say you didn't have some wicked fellas who may have done some things that had, you know,
wicked fellas.
I just say that.
Praise God, all right.
If we say we have no sin, we deceive ourselves.
And the truth is not in this,
right? But if we
confess our sins, right? It's a good Anglican boy.
You know, but it is one that said that there was a mother, a father, but more importantly, there was a community, a village that helped to rear the children. As we talked in the break, I remember, you know, Sunday school was not an option for that time.
No.
You were going to Sunday school. I remember, like I said, getting up and cooking pancakes, figuring I can trick my parents into saying that, you know, we just slow this down enough. They eat the pancakes and are you ready? and you're going. But what I did not appreciate as a youngster then was the biblical principles that I learned, and not getting overly religious. I'm talking about just Christianity. I'm talking about saying that understanding the story of Noah's Ark, understanding the story of Daniel in the lion's den, understanding Joseph and the coat of many colors, and the lessons that were taught in that, and then move forward into the New Testament. I have persons in my organization smile, say, why is it every time you speak, you quote some scripture? But that's what
in you.
That's what grounded me, but more importantly, it taught me the principles and the values, and I'm not going to be hypocritical and say that I don't fall short of that. I started by saying if we have no sin.
Yeah.
But I know right from wrong. And when we look at our kids today, the question is, do they know right from wrong? Have they been grounded in that? And is that a byproduct?
The conditioning has morphed our society, and this is a complex conversation. Normally, it takes 2 hours to talk about. I think an hour, right? But the conditioning that we have endured, that we've suffered, that has gone from one generation you call most recently the hip-hop generation, but we've come from, hippies, and then we've gone to punks, and then the civil rights movement, and then we've seen this kind of a transition, and we've absorbed the entire thing out of the United States of America. This conditioning has shifted us significantly. It's actually, right now, with these persons who have acronyms all over the place, right now, they have actually been able to take these kind of concepts and shift it entirely. What we've recognized to be good, what we've recognized to be righteous, have shifted in its meaning. And as a result of that shift, the children don't know right from wrong, they only know what the conditioning says. And the conditioning says, wrong is now right.
Well, it says
That's
that
crazy.
You can always twist, right? Because it was interesting, I was at a conference not too long ago, and the professor from the University of New York said, our new God is Google, not the Bible, because whatever Google says is gospel. He said
heavy what you're saying.
Our new sort of compass point is now Apple, because if you don't have an Apple phone, you've not made it. Right?
Wow.
And he then said that our sort of concept of sort of commercial enterprise is now Amazon, because everything is centered in these three entities. And it was
Google,
quite interesting.
Apple, Amazon.
And Amazon. And he said that, think about the society today. So he wasn't even speaking about the Bahamas, he was just speaking globally.
Yeah.
That we don't even have the grounding that we had before, because now we've been conditioned to say, whatever I want, I can go online and get from Amazon. Mm-hmm. I am able to ask Google any question.
The embodiment of instant gratification. We need it now.
And it'll be on your doorstep in 24 hours.
Literally, they got the drone dropping it.
You have Google that you don't even need to go to the doctor no more. You Google, why I have this pimple, and it could give you the whole story.
Don't
right?
self-diagnose, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm not recommending that. And then ultimately, the status symbol, and he was using Apple less as what I'm going to say, the information age, but saying the status symbol that it became. That whilst a regular Android device does the same thing, you are not seen as successful unless you have one of these devices.
I'm sorry to hear that.
They've created that, right? So when we come and bring that to our national context, we don't see much of a difference, right? Because when you now stop and see, we talk about our economic circumstances, but look at the children, look at the adults, and see how many do not have an Apple phone. But yet they complain about the cost of living. And this is not me berating. This is now me saying that a $1,500 phone does a long way in groceries if the priority was I just needed a device that allowed me access to data and to take my calls, etc. Right? When we equally look at it in terms of saying that, okay, when I want to have my specialty coffee each day, right? My wife would say I'm always beaten on this one, right? And my daughter is one of the victims of this as well. But how much do you spend if you're doing it daily? If it's a weekly treat, that's one thing. So we've allowed our environment to dictate what it is we've become, and not understanding that Lent, to me, Lent in the past was something that meant quite a lot, right? That you gave up something that was near and dear, or something that you saw as a luxury or something that was a treat, and you sacrificed to say that I forgo that. Now it's more around the pomp and pageantry of it, right? That I have the Palm Sunday, and I'm saying I'm doing all these wonderful things.
You can see the cross in my head.
And as opposed to the aspects that were saying that it was a reconnection with what was your grounding ideals. What was it you were taught?
So let's do this, because I want to be able to take this conversation. We've talked a lot about what we believe the entitlement is from a historic standpoint. And I want to be able to talk more currently, where I think that there is sort of a brainwash, a washing away of the morality of our society based upon our desire to be able to dive deep into politics and participate in these areas, because I believe that we as a people are looking for some savior. And I believe that they have projected this sort of an idea. And I don't know whether or not it's the language that they use, but there's a conditioning socially that says that you can find refuge within the arms of politicians, within the arms of our politics. I want to talk about that. And I want to talk about whether or not the NDP plan should be able to kind of emerge through education, because what do we say? Is this generation a wash? Is people over the age of 35 a wash? Are you done? You know what I mean? Like, what do you say? Are we done? Is the conditioning so entrenched in us that we don't see anything other than the comforts and the formalities and the things that we've been accessing or have access to, and the immediate gratifications that we've actually developed? Are we saying that? How do we shift the next generation? Do we go back into the schools and reteach the kids? Talk to me.
Well, I think it starts, and that's why I said the social pillar. People see me as the economist, but the social pillar is probably the most important pillar. And when I say probably, only because, as you said, they all work together, right? But the social side is saying, well, how do we get ourselves back to where we were in a frame of mind that allowed us to go forward? Because, like I said, I told you how rapidly we went forward from independence and where we moved to. So when we start talking about the school system, it was very telling in the State of the Nation that after grade 3, education deteriorated, or the success and effectiveness.
And this statistical data and information.
And this was statistical data looking at the various
after grade 3
assessment tests and etc. After grade 3, we were doing okay in preschool, and up to grade 3, we were standing shoulder to shoulder with the best of them. And then thereafter,
Godwin, this is heavy what you're saying.
To deteriorate. And
put a pin right there. I read a study some years back that actually indicated, and it came from Catholic priests, that indicated that once we have a child between the age of 0 and 7, we could condition them and prepare them to be able to move and be whatever they have to be in life. A grade 3 is a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
And after a 7-year-old has acquired this information that this is the path that I would take, the education stops.
Yeah.
You mean in our country?
And that's the one
that's
there.
Crazy.
That's
crazy.
And we don't appreciate it, but their brain, you know, even I'm going to say physically is softer, right? Meaning that it is just absorbing, right? Because the skull is not formed into the adult format at that point in time, right? And so, yes, when we start talking about some of the things that we need to change in our society, sort of our savings or lack of savings, our financial literacy or lack of financial literacy. When we talk about, well, what does it mean in terms of work ethic and how do you achieve success as opposed to, again, looking at what you see as the ball player that has the ice and all of these things there, but looking at their far more successful employees who give 100% when they come to work and actually move through the progression and do very well. There's far greater number. So we have an opportunity to go back, and you ask the question, do we have a wash the generation that is here? I would ask you the question, which generation is that? Because are we saying the 40 plus are any better?
The 40 plus is decent. We're good, right?
But I'm saying that has that grouping continued to retrain itself? Because you mentioned something that said the world is changing around us
rapidly.
If you are stuck in the way you did things and saying that I learned this way in my job, and then you see the way the job is done, the use of technology, the use of different processes, and you're not continually educating yourself through continual development and things that you could do now from the comfort of your home because you don't have to go into a classroom.
It's heavy what you're saying.
Just online, right? Are we saying that the productivity levels in the country support our own personal development as a people? And by that I'm saying we see a lot of foreign investment still attracted to this country every single day. But are we having the conversation about our ownership of these ventures, or are we talking about us being employees again on the plantation?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to be able to get back and find out whether or not we are owners or we're still being able to find ourselves in the rut and sort of the rat race of the plantation. When we get back, we're going to have a final segment, kind of wrap it up, and talk about futuristic concepts and ideas for growth and development. Join me, guys. We're going to take this commercial. We're going to be right back after this.
The internet isn't just for surfing. There's a sea of shoppers buying online, and you can connect with them on Tingsy. Tingsy is the SBDC's online storefront built for Bahamians. Take your business to the next level by selling to customers online, both at home and around the world. People want Bahamian things, and if you got things to sell, sell on Tingsy. Find out how you can connect with a sea of buyers by visiting tingsybahamas.com.
Influenza, or the flu as it is commonly called, is a viral illness that usually occurs between the months October to March. The virus is transmitted from person to person through coughing, sneezing, or talking. Symptoms include fever, cough, headache, runny nose, generalized body aches, and fatigue. There is no specific treatment for the flu, and the symptoms usually dissipate after 3 to 7 days. Because it is caused by a virus, antibiotics are not used to treat the flu. Persons are encouraged to rest and drink lots of fluids. Panadol is recommended for fever and body aches associated with the flu. However, aspirin should be avoided due to the risk of bleeding. To decrease the spread of flu, persons are encouraged to get their flu shot annually and practice good cough hygiene. Additional information can be provided by your community clinic or the Health Education Division at the Ministry of Health. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health in partnership with the Public Hospitals Authority.
Before we end tonight, guys, I want to be able to have a few more discussions and topics with Mr. Bo. I want to talk about our goals. We want to talk futuristically of what we can become and what we must change structurally. We want to talk realistic optimism. We want to be able to identify these things. A realistic future, economic model for the Bahamas, beyond tourism only. because we've been talking about tourism. We want to talk about diversification. The lane that can actually scale, not just slogans. We want to talk about that. We want to talk about, like I said to you, and we talked about this, the cost of living, resilience, food systems, we talked about systems, energy strategy, local buffers. We want to talk about human capital. Education alignment with future works. And then we're going to talk about the national planning culture, how to build continuity across administrations. You see, what citizens can do, not just government ownership and participation pressures, they got to be able to lead into these things and find out exactly what's what. Talk to me about that.
You know, Pindon said, if you don't fight for your nation, you don't deserve to have it, right? If you're not prepared to do so. And we, you know, we don't appreciate some of the foresight that these fellows had, because what he was saying is that if you're simply a spectator, right, whatever happens, you can't complain about. The National Development Plan provides an opportunity for contribution by all citizens. It doesn't mean that Howard's idea is the crowning idea and will be the one going forward. But it does mean that Howard, if he's passive and he's saying, well, this ain't gonna never work, and he has no sort of enthusiasm to contribute towards it, then you hear the saying, the people get the government they deserve, right? And it doesn't talk about political party. It says that apathy, whilst is real, is something that we're gonna have to fight through, because we're gonna have to start making our voices heard. It is going to be important when we start talking about, well, what are the elements that we want to see in the future? And it's not difficult, because we can set them with a very specific goal, but it takes a lot of work. So let me do something that we all would know and think about. To reduce our non-communicable diseases, right, to a level of a country of 400,000 people that you just said, that is a respectable level. I mean, we have the highest rates of diabetes and non-communicable diseases, I don't think just in the Caribbean, but in the Western Hemisphere, right? So if we said our medical goal was to do that, that's a very aspirational goal, but it has a number of things behind it, because it may be the healthcare system, but it is also the preventative care. It is going back to what is it that we're eating. I remember that, you know, fast food restaurants did not survive in my grandparents' them day, because the only time you got to eat that was as a treat, because Sunday dinner was cooked with enough that was going to feed, and then during the week, and God bless her heart, my wife's still very much the same, her children will not eat fast food during the week, right? But her mother taught that, and her grandmother taught that into her mother. So we still have the principles around. The next one you said around the economic factors. Well, tourism, to me, people have differences of opinion, and you and I may disagree. We've not exploited tourism because we don't own it. The tourism product that is in the country is owned by foreign enterprise. So if we're talking about the success of tourism, would not the first step being Bahamian ownership in the very industry we call number one? We see it emerging in small pockets as we talk about vacation rentals and the like, and you see the tension that is brewing between the resorts that are foreign owned and the domestic, what I'm going to call tourism product, right? And I don't believe that there should be an inequality in taxation and everything else. Let me be clear on that. But there needs to be this economic empowerment that says collective investment will allow us to do a lot. The largest pension plans in the country are the hotel pension plans, because it has the largest number of employees. Tell me which hotel they have even an equity interest in, not own, not run and operate, but which hotel, which establishment do they have an equity interest in? And they have a pooling of resources. We have national insurance that has 75% of its assets tied with government. Again, what national tourism product does it have an equity interest in as a passive investor, just helping to fund what is ours? When we talk about diversification, diversification needs to start with saying, we have to stop believing that boss means I own everything and I do it on my own. Because the reality is, I don't know about you, but if I have 1% in a country that's making $100 million in profit a year, so that gets me $1 million, I don't care who's chief. I'm happy.
I would call you chief. What's up, chief?
But it is, we've taught ownership as being, you got to see
this
the
is
person
a
that has the
conditioning
full
from
one.
the slave, from the plantation.
You have to be master, right?
This
versus working together.
The concept of HNIC, and we need not to go into the acronyms, you know what that is. The concept of HNIC, the concept of chief among Indians, the concept that exists in these particular spaces is deep within us. In fact, it plays so deep on your psyche in the hotel. I come from the hotel. In the hotel, they separate you by your name tag. Hotel people know what they talk about. If you had a first name, you was an employee. If you got first and last name, you was a boss. You was a boss. And this psyche runs deep in us. You're talking heavy when you start to talk about this kind of a concept that says that when we look at our ownership stake in what we've identified to be the largest industry, most recently, and I don't want to dive and kind of pair off, but the government of the Bahamas has actually been able to purchase the Grand Lucayan, and being able to purchase the Grand Lucayan, the former administration, this administration, being able to work to sell it off. When we know back in the day when they had the Radisson, there is horror stories associated with the fact that the government can't run this. Horror stories. And I don't know whether or not it has been able to play on the psyche of successive men and women in leadership who now sit at the round table and say, well, I heard some bad stories about us doing this, let's get rid of these things. We're not thinking acquisition, we're not thinking retention, we're not thinking growth, we're not thinking development. It's almost like catch and go, and that can't be.
But I would say to you, I never said anything about government running, because you want the best and brightest. When we look at the Bahamians who are in the hotel industry, and you and I are old enough to know what a J. Barry Farrington meant, what a Ernest Cambridge meant, what a Stuart Bostill means, what a Sandy Sands means, right? These were pioneers that came through and made a mark not only in the Bahamas, but internationally, because they helped and supported Saul Kurzda and his other ventures in other parts of the world. So we've lost the spirit of what I'm going to say, developing the future leaders even within that industry. And it is one that we have to really pause and look and say that, is it really that we're promoting that, yes, as a bellman, you could make $50,000 a year in a good year, versus you want to be, right, the person who is vying for CEO of the resort within 10 years of you being there?
I've been in hotels too long. That's not an articulated thing. There are stories that circulate about not necessarily the exception, but the rule. There are stories that circulate, and it says that one day somebody could come. If you sitting in this posture, they could get you out. Man, listen to me. They're not educating themselves. I had bellmen that were almost 60 years old and still couldn't read. And have worked in this particular capacity for 40 years. I just want to be decent with you. I'm not here to be able to besmirch anyone or do that. I'm simply saying to you is that we're listening to the folklore and to the concepts of what can possibly happen, seeking one way or another instant gratification, rather than being able to build step by step to get to where we call it supposed to be.
And that's what I said. And I'll end in terms of our national progress by saying that, let me put some statistics in there. The banks have excess liquidity of $3 billion. Even if you strip out what I'm going to say, unworkable elements of it, is still $2 billion. When we start talking about infrastructure in our country, so I mentioned institutions, but we start talking about what is it that we need in our ports, what is it we need in our communication infrastructure, what is it that we need in our logistics and transportation. The government needs to be and understand and accept it as a facilitator, not a provider. That it is one that is saying, how do I enable persons that have come together and pool resources to operate an enterprise for the betterment of the country, where I simply accept I will only get taxes out of this. I have no say. I can't call the CEO and say, hire my constituent. I can't call the persons to say, make sure this turned on or turned off. That it operates, and you will get taxes from it because it is successful, and then you can use the taxes for your social initiatives, which you should be doing as a government. So we have to get to where we are comfortable as a people to say, I don't have to like Howard in terms of me and him socially hanging out, But if he and I have a common objective of carrying the nation forward, we can pool resources with like-minded individuals. And if the government provides the infrastructure, and when I say infrastructure, I'm talking about the legislation and the enabling environment that says we can own all that is necessary for our country. Look at the great United States of America, right? And when I just look north, the utility companies are owned by the people, right? The communication companies are owned by the people. And we may not conceptualize it because we say they're public companies, but that's what that means. These are publicly traded. Not everyone has an interest, but they have used their capital markets for all enterprise. When we drive on the very roads that we curse about here in the Bahamas, and we compare that to the United States, the reason they have the roads is because they have private enterprise that paves them, and what do they add on them? Tolls. I like it. That says this is how you pay for it. So I like it. The National Development Plan allows us to have these conversations. The legislation removes it from the political interference when you have change administration. But the plan itself is a dynamic plan. It is not a static plan. And so whilst 2040 was the initial end target date because it started in 2015, so it was 25 years. The only change I'm going to say is we got to think of something jazzy to say this carries us in to 2055.
Now, you got to be able to come back with me, ladies and gentlemen. I enjoyed this conversation, my brother.
Well, we always have a good chop it up.
I always enjoy that. You got to be able to come back. We're here with the Rundown. I want to thank you guys for being able to tune in with us tonight. It actually is going to lead us into a greater conversation about politics. Tomorrow at our round table, we're going to be able to do that. Well, that does it for the Rundown this evening. Guys, make sure you stay locked in right here at ZNS Network for the Bahamas Tonight at 11 p.m. It's the final newscast of the country and the latest news and information with Corvell Pryfrom. For all of us here at ZNS, I'm Howard Grant, and thanks for joining us.
At Fort Montague, I'm Opal Roach. This is ZNS.
Tonight's show is brought to you by Bahamas Air. We don't just fly here, we live here. Club One, the gym that keep you in shape. Tonight's show is brought to you by Bahamas Air. We don't just fly here, we live here. Club One, the gym that keep you in shape.
Welcome to the best sports world. I'm your host, Carlos Mackey, live and living color, Bahamas. Guess where I am today? The L'Oreal Country Club. And guess who I got standing next to me? The one and only Pro Bowler, Hall of Fame, two-time Super Bowl champion, undefeated, only undefeated football team in NFL history, our big brother, Larry Little. Larry, welcome back to the best sports world.
Thanks, Carlos. Good to see you, buddy. Hello, Bahamas. Hello, Bahamas.
The Bahamas, he not been there one time, been there many times. And guess what? The ambassador didn't want him to leave out his office. He said, Larry.
Sidney was the ambassador, right?
No, Chick Hack. That was Big Chick Hack.
No, I was there with Sidney Johnson.
No, Chick was the ambassador, United States ambassador to the Bahamas. You came to see him after Chick. We had the football game in '91. That was a big Chick.
Okay.
You remember when I took the office, me and you and Tank?
Well, you know I'm getting old now, so you know I'm forgetful.
Bahamas, Bangtown, Montel Heights, McCullough Corner, Nassau Village, Black Village. I boast about him all the time. Now look at him. Grew up in Overtown. Went to Bethune-Cookman on a scholarship. Not drafted in the NFL, but look at him. Larry, just talk to us about your blessing that God has given you growing up, like you said, in Overtown, and, went to Bethune-Cookman. My cousin, your big mentor, Saint and Cy, gave you a scholarship, and talk about how you had transformation from Miami to Bethune.
Well, coming out of high school, I only had 2 scholarships. One was to Bethune-Cookman, and the other was to St. Augustine College in Raleigh, North Carolina. A lot of Bahamians go there, too. And I do know that the best decision I made was to go to Bethune-Cookman, because my senior year, St. Augustine dropped football.
That's correct.
And I was fortunate enough to sign as a free agent. I wasn't drafted as a free agent with the San Diego Chargers. And the Chargers didn't want me anymore, and they got rid of me and sent me to Miami, sent me home.
Since you're to the nesting place you was born.
Yeah, well, I wasn't born here, but I was raised here in Miami and Overtown.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Grew up there. But that was the history started there. That's when the history started. So growing up in Miami, Overtown, a lot of Bahamians, our brothers and sisters you grew up with, too.
Right around the corner from St. Agnes Episcopal Church.
And our good, the belated sister, Josie.
Yeah.
Oh, we miss her.
I miss her, I love her.
And,
still love her, although she's gone, but it's just like she's still with us.
And speaking about Josie, when I was bringing Larry over here to play a football game, Larry said, Carlos, you got to meet Josie. I said, I got to meet Josie. And I don't miss it, Carlos. Every day you got to meet. And when I met